Own the road with T-Mobile, the leader in 5G. Whether you're cruising through Nashville on I-40, heading down I-90 to Boston, or touring Santa Cruz in the 5, you'll be covered by the largest 5G network. T-Mobile covers the most interstate highway miles in America with 5G.
See 5G device coverage and access details at T-Mobile.com. Most reliable according to independent third-party Umlaut from crowdsourced user experience data from January to July 2021. Fastest according to Open Signal Awards based on average speeds in USA. 5G user experience report July 2021.
And we continue on here. Rolling on down. GFG. Thank you. No meaty toes. We are not stopping with the pictures. Mickle in a pickle. You grossed me out on Twitter today. Thank you for that. Double Tim, Gorgeous Helena, Jeff Swenson, and Terry Brown. Thanks for joining us. Oscar, good to have you here. The lovely and talented and stunning Kara McIver from Saskatchewan. It's flat over there. Everybody look towards Saskatchewan. Kara will wave. We'll be able to see her waving. Yes. Richard Elmore, Open-Minded Clarity, the sensational Sherry. Logan, nice to have you all here. We are running out of time. Digger Dog, thank you for joining us. River Dogma, always a pleasure. Who else do we got? John Poe. And I'm speeding it on up. A great way to support this show, everyone. Hi, Steve Stockton. Fish on, good to see you, is through the Super Chat. The Super Chat is open. If you're brand new here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring that bell so that way you can be a part of the community. And if you're a veteran listening into this show, we absolutely love you. We love what you've done and your service and everything. You always got a safe home here on Spaced Out Radio. Mike Mataluni is here. Luis Jimenez is here. We'll be joined by Rather Be Squidding later on in the second hour. Let's get this thing going. Get your horns up. From the mountains of central British Columbia to you listening around the world, this, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. We welcome you to tonight's show on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on TalkStream Live, Revolution Radio, and KPNL. All of our archives are free. All you got to do is go to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. You can follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram, Spaced Out Radio Show. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Tonight's show is brought to you by Chive Charities. Help make the world 10% happier by visiting Chive Charities today. You can find them on our website. Now, you may not have heard of the Unidentified Celebrity Review as of yet, but we want to make sure that you do after tonight. Luis Jimenez is the brainchild behind this great YouTube program that we definitely want our supporters to support as well. And, of course, Mike Mataluni sits there with him as they bring in some of the top UFO people from around North America and the world to discuss everything UAP. One of the things that they have also done, which is highly commended within the UFO community, is create an event called the Big Phone Home. Just a couple of months ago, they had a highly successful first edition of it. This weekend is another free event. Another free event, not the nother. Nice English, Dave. But nonetheless, you can participate in that. You can go in, watch it at Unidentified Celebrity Review, the Big Phone Home 2 on Twitter. You can follow it, hashtag the Big Phone Home 2. And I'm very excited to have these guys on because, you know, it's very rare in this community where we get new people coming on in, making such a big impact. And in the end, that's what it's all about, trying to get that message out, bringing the impact. And they found their niche. Lou Jimenez, you've been on the show, you've been on the round table, and I want to say thank you for inviting both myself and Lynn Wallington to be a part of the Big Phone Home 2. We really appreciate it. We're very excited about it. We were talking about it again today and yesterday as well. So thank you. Let's fully introduce you to our audience because they know you. You've been on the show before, but this is the first time we've had a chance to actually go one-on-one. So let's talk about you a little bit, man. You know, you live in L.A., You're an aspiring actor. You've had a few gigs, but UFOs have kind of taken over your heart, man. How did that happen?
Yeah. Wow, man, there's a lot that goes into it. I mean, I've had an experience when I was 13, so that was a big part of it. But I hadn't really looked or thought about UFOs, not a lot. I always kept like an arm's length distance from the topic. And then, of course, 2017 happened. You know, we were introduced to Lou Elizondo and Christopher Mellon, and David Fravor really is what caught my attention. And so, you know, I was, you know, I am an actor, which means I'm a professional waiter, part-time. And, lo and behold, one night, Lou Elizondo came walking into the restaurant, and he was there with his History Channel production team. And I got to talk to him for like 2 hours, you know, face to face, and it was cool. I got to pick their brains about the show, and incidentally, around the same time, I was already thinking about starting a podcast or a YouTube channel, but I just wasn't sure what I wanted to do. You know, originally I was like, well, maybe I could do a political channel. And I'm like, no, I don't want to do that. It's too divisive. And then I was thinking, well, maybe a video game review channel or a movie review channel, because I love, you know, giving my opinions on films. Me and my buddies, that's all we do is just talk movies. But I was like, well, you know, being an actor in LA, I don't know if I want to be bashing movies or giving movie scores. And then I was like, well, maybe I could talk about UFOs, and I could talk about it with my actor friends, and we could review films and review shows. And so that's kind of how the YouTube channel started. And my girlfriend, like I said, around the same time, she had bought me one of these ring lights. And so after she did that, I was like, well, I have to start it. I have to do it. And so, you know, I made a schedule, and, you know, for the first 8 or 9 months, it was tough, you know, trying to figure out, you know, what the voice of the channel was. I was just going through, okay, you know, getting a bunch of I knew I had to get a whole bunch of shows under my belt to sort of get a flow, get a feel for what the show was. And so that's kind of what happened. You know, I was doing 2 shows a week. I was editing them down. It was a ton of work. And then I had asked Martin Willis to come be on my show. He was one of my inspirations, and so was Alejandro Rojas. I loved listening to their shows. And that was the first interview I did. And then the first live stream I did, I think, was with Ryan Sprague. And it was, you know, I was like, wow, I think this is much easier than editing all my shows. And it's just a lot more fun. It feels like theater, which I'm very used to. You know, I did a lot of improv comedy in New York City, and then I did a lot out here when I moved out to LA. And I enjoy being in front of an audience. I enjoy having that live feel. So, like, if something happens, that idea that, hey, I can fix this on the fly. So, you know, that's, I guess, the long story. That is the short version of sort of
right.
YouTube channel got started.
You know, for a lot of us who've been around for a while, when somebody starts really, really quick and gets the names, we always get our hackles up and our defenses up. Who the hell is this guy? Why is all of a sudden everybody kind of going over him and trying to figure, you know, and pump this new guy out? Here I've been here for 6 years or 10 years or 12 years.
Yeah.
And now this new guy's getting all the good guests and all. And you know, a number of us go through that because, you know, we want to know who our competition is on a fair basis. And I'll tell you, the one thing that, and I will fully admit this publicly, I was one of those guys. Who the hell is this Lou Jimenez guy where all of a sudden he's dropping Lou Elizondo right off the bat? You know, and Lou at that point we had it scheduled, but had never even been on this show yet. And I'm like, who is this guy? And I got my hackles up, and I'm like, what the hell is this guy all about? Then the big phone home happened, and I started watching that, and I'm like, this is good. This is good. And and then I've caught a number of your other shows on YouTube, and I'm like, you know what? I think you're doing it for the right reasons. And that's all like somebody like me asks is, are you doing it for the right reasons? And I'm really glad to say that my attitude towards you, your program, and everything was just hype and conjecture in my head. And I love what you're doing, and I love your crew, and I think you guys are very entertaining. You bring a new energetic spark to your show, and that's all we really need in this community in order to get those messages out. And the other thing that I like about you guys is you stay away from the BS. You're not calling people names. You're not calling out individuals. You're just like, let's just talk UFOs, man. Because that's what the fun is all about. And I really want to commend you guys for that, because my instant projection was wrong. It was totally wrong. And so I want to admit that publicly.
Well, I had no idea. Thank you, man. I mean, that takes a lot of moxie to say something like that. And you know, I had a feeling, not so much with you, but yeah, I didn't mean to to come out of nowhere, you know, like I got lucky. Like I met Lou Elizondo in a restaurant and hit it off with him. And it just so happened that he's Cuban. He was born in Miami and his name's Luis. I share all three of those things. Like, you know, it's like kind of like that scene in Step Brothers where like, we just become best friends. Yep. And so, you know, when I reached out to him on Twitter, I just put the picture that we took in the restaurant. I was like, hey, I met you a couple of months ago. Like, I thought we had a great conversation. I started this YouTube channel like 8 months ago, you know, right after I met you. And boom, that was it. It was like, he hit me up. He found me on Twitter, and that's how I got Lou Elizondo to come on my show. And then I think after that, he kind of just started doing all of these shows. And I was, you know, like I said, I got lucky. But what was cool is I had thought of the big phone home idea pretty much like 2 or 3 weeks before he came on. And I asked him to do it. And I think that's what sort of legitimized what we were trying to do, because I knew I had to get somebody that the UFO community respected and wanted to listen to, but also try to get them to politically motivate themselves to try and, you know, make a phone call to a local state representative, send an email, send a letter, you know, so yeah, man, I appreciate you saying that. It's, you know, like, it feels like I came out of nowhere, I think, to a lot of people, but trust me when I tell you, and the archive is there. Go look at my first 90 episodes, you know, 100 episodes. It was rough. And at first I was like coming into this, especially when I started doing my reviews of different TV shows and different personalities and stuff, and I would start to get annoyed because, like, Michael sometimes says on the show, like, nobody wants to feel like a sucker. And I started feeling a little bit like a sucker, and I started letting that ooze into my videos, and it wasn't working, you know? And I leave those videos up because it's you know, it shows the growth that I've made, and I'm really proud of it, because I think, you know, the show has had a clear evolution, and when, you know, Lou came on the show, and that sort of snowballed into meeting all of these wonderful people, because as soon as Lou said, yeah, I'm part of the Big Phone Home, then I could email or text or tweet at anybody, hey, would you like to be part of this event? Lou Elizondo is going to be there.
Oh, yeah.
And, you know, before I knew it, it was you know, a legitimate thing. And I think it helped. I don't know how much. I can't tell you exactly what our impact was from the event, but it was the first time that the community got together, put aside all of their differences, all of their different opinions and different theories and different everything, and came to the table and broke bread. And so that was, you know, the idea, that was the purpose, but also to galvanize us as a legitimate group of people, you know, like a voting base or, you know, a fan base or whatever, and galvanize that group of people. Because I think, you know, this community really undersells how powerful and influential they are. And if they just stop pointing at each other and start pointing up at the people that we give our tax dollars to, I think we're going to be shocked at the progress we make. It may take 5 to 10 years, but I promise you there would be significant progress.
I want to bring in Mike Mataluni here, your great sidekick on the show and co-host. And Mike, how did you get involved with this guy, and how did you get involved in UFOs?
Yeah, thank you. It's great to be here. Sorry if my camera's not working for YouTube, but it's fantastic to spend this time with you. So I actually kind of stumbled back into this. I had a sighting myself when I was 11 years old with my entire family. We saw just an extraordinary group of lights over the ocean here in Florida. And I'd always been fascinated by UFOs. I've always been fascinated by the Fermi paradox, and I've always been wondering what's out there. And so it's, it was always a very natural progression for me. I've also been a podcaster. I used to have a podcast called Kick-Ass Dad. And being a dad's one of my favorite things. So I was passionate about it, and I started this silly podcast in 2014, and it just kind of did really well. And so I was like, maybe this is something I could do. And I got excited about it. And so I was looking for another idea for a podcast and a YouTube channel. And I stumbled across the Debrief, and I reached out to them, and we started doing a little work together, and I did a few interviews for them. And then Lou and I met, and he had this idea. So he had me on his show, and we just hit it off and had a blast. And, we're both goofy. We both love to have fun. We're just, we just kind of hit it off. And so I was, talking to him about this big phone home idea. And I was like, you're nuts, but it sounds amazing. I'm down. So we sat down and we worked out a schedule. We put the thing together on a shoestring, and it was amazing. It just did so well. It just resonated with people so much. And I was hooked. I was in. And so Lou and he talks about how he saw the Matrix, right? He saw the numbers, and all of a sudden we're doing 5 shows a week, 3 days a week on the Unidentified Celebrity View, 2 days a week on my channel, The Singularity Lab, and we're just going live every single day. And
it's a tough push, isn't it?
Man. I'm exhausted right now. It's tough. It's tough.
Oh yeah.
People don't see the scheduling and the going out and finding guests and coordinating before and after shows. And just the amount of time and energy we put into this thing is just huge. And then,
throw a big phone home 2 on top of that. It's been a lot.
It's actually psychotic. It is, but we have fun with it. So.
People don't understand when you're doing this for little to no money. You really have to have some sort of stupid built inside of you in order in order to keep doing this. And that's why there's a love to this, though, guys. There's a real love and a passion. And, everybody has a different focus. We here more focus on the experiential side of everything. We want to bring back that spooky late night radio of things that go bump in the night, and that has been missing for a long time. And that's kind of our focus with everything. You guys are about getting the news and reviews out there with the latest of who's talking about what. I don't want to compare you to a TMZ. I don't want to do that because, I think you guys are a little bit more factual than that. But I consider you guys almost like that TMZ type of style where we're on there every day. We're there. We're accountable. We're bringing in the people who are making the UFO news today. And that says a lot about your quick reputation by the guests you're getting and the reputation that you're quickly building with events like the Big Phone Home and Big Phone Home 2.
Yeah. Well, it's I'll take that. I'll be TMZ. I'm good with that. The idea is to take the information seriously, not ourselves. So it really gives us a lot of freedom to talk about this without having any really hard opinions. Because at the end of this mystery, nobody knows what's happening. Nobody has the answer. Nobody. And until there's concrete proof, even for me having a really close sighting, I still don't know. I'm not going to say, yes, it was alien for sure. I have no clue. I didn't see who was inside. So yeah, I think I will push back a little bit. I think there is money to be made in this topic.
Oh,
why not? Like if you can make a 24-hour, channel out of weather, why can't you have a 24-hour channel with UAP and UFO talk that's got all of these things, and you have a Comedy Central. I mean, when Comedy Central first came out, people thought that was nuts. It was so stupid. And look at it now.
You know what? It's funny you bring that up, because I was talking with one of my radio guys who owns one of my radio stations that we broadcast off of, and we are baffled. You look at Sirius XM, they got channels about everything. And yet they have no idea what would happen if they put a full-on paranormal, supernatural radio channel, and you bring in all of the top hosts to come on in there. You're going to fill the time 24 hours a day, because when we're sleeping here, there's people in Australia, there's people in the UK who can fill in on that channel, and you could fill the times and everything. I think it would be a complete success on that, and a moneymaker at that. And trust me, I'm not saying there's no money in this field. No. I'm not saying that. For the majority of us at this time, as the field continues to gain interest, I think that is something that you have to grow, and you have to look at it, much like you guys or what we are doing here, on a more business level than on a podcast level.
Right. Yeah, no, I mean, it's go for it, Michael. Sorry.
Yeah, well, I was just going to say, I think it's tough for people to even hear the word money in association with this topic. I think part of the bias here is that, people who make any money on this topic are charlatans, right? They're fakers. And yes, there are those people. But here's where Lou and I approach it from: is we don't have the answers. We never had the answers. We're here to talk to people and interview people and have a blast and be entertaining and be entertained. And that's it. That's what we do. And we're having a wonderful time doing it. And I definitely agree with Lou that there is this opportunity, and you, Dave, there is this opportunity for, people are.
Own the road with T-Mobile, the leader in 5G. Whether you're cruising through Nashville on I-40, heading down I-90 to Boston, or touring Santa Cruz in the 5, you'll be covered by the largest 5G network. T-Mobile covers the most interstate highway miles in America with 5G.
See 5G device coverage and access details at T-Mobile.com. Most reliable according to independent third-party Umlaut from crowdsourced user experience data from January to July 2021. Fastest according to Open Signal Awards based on average speeds in USA. 5G user experience report July 2021.
Own the road with T-Mobile, the leader in 5G. Whether you're cruising through Nashville on I-40, heading down I-90 to Boston, or touring Santa Cruz in the 5, you'll be covered by the largest 5G network. T-Mobile covers the most interstate highway miles in America with 5G.
See 5G device coverage and access details at T-Mobile.com. Most reliable according to independent third-party Umlaut from crowdsourced user experience data from January to July 2021. Fastest according to Open Signal Awards based on average speeds in USA. 5G user experience report July 2021.
Interested in these topics. People geek out over this stuff. So why not give it to them? Why not, create content that delivers on that promise? And I think it's there. I think there's an opportunity there.
Yeah, I mean, we live in a subscription-based model now. Like if you want the news that you want to hear, you subscribe to it, and you usually have to pay for Patreon that gives you access to the full show with no commercials or whatever, right? That's the way the world's going. Disney's doing it. NBC's doing it. CBS is doing it. It's just who's going to have the vision to do it with this topic. And I think, this could be, we could be running the ESPN of the paranormal, discussion. And, like ESPN, there's a sports center where it's got its main, hub of stories and news, and then it breaks off into other shows and under other topics. And we can do that with this topic because it's rich in history. We got 70 plus years, and some say we'll even go farther. And there's room to bring in scientists. There's room to bring in wizards. Like, we could do both, and we could have a good time doing it. And it doesn't have to be this model where you have to pay to get certain access to this certain secret or this certain blog or this certain thing.
Right.
You know, like with I feel like with this topic, because people have been ripped off so much, you have to give it to them for free, in my opinion, all of it. Like there can't be any secrets or hidden things. Because it doesn't work. Or it does work for some people, but I think that model's not going to be sustainable with this topic in particular, because it's so hard to pin to a board. It's like trying to catch smoke. And we're trying to also, make it known that we don't have the answers, and we're not going to charge you and pretend like we do.
Yes, exactly.
If you want to donate to our show, we give you all the options to support it, either through our t-shirts or our Patreon or our super chats, just like every other show on the planet does. And we're not putting a gun to anybody's head. And the way we sort of pitch it is like, hey, if you like this stuff, just know there's a bunch of work that goes into making it. And if you want to keep it 5 days a week, we're like public access TV. We run off of your donations.
You're a telethon. Where are we going? Higher.
Exactly.
Where are we going?
Right.
Higher. Gentlemen, I'm going to get you to hold on right there. We're going to go to break here at the bottom of the hour. Luis Jimenez, Michael Mataluni from Unidentified Celebrity Review, and the Big Phone Home 2. We're going to learn all about the Big Phone Home 2 when we return, because this is a free event, and I think you're absolutely going to love taking this one in this weekend. That was a fun half hour there, boys.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Flew by.
Yeah, we're almost a third through it, Michael.
This is so fun because we've got everybody behind the scenes watching behind the scenes on the radio.
I know.
Yeah, that is kind of cool.
Oh yeah, and it's funny. We had a business meeting today with my team, with Lynn and Gary, talking about YouTube and a few other projects that we're doing, and it's just amazing how, when you bring some really bright minds together, what you can actually accomplish in this field. I mean, it's so much more than what I ever dreamed of, because when I started this show, it was all about radio. It was all about radio.
Yeah.
How long you been doing the show, Dave?
6.5 years, coming up 7 years.
Wow, man.
Wow. 7 years.
How many shows is that, Dave? I mean, you're doing shows 5 days a week, too.
Well, I think I have personally done, it's got to be in that 1,700, 1,800 realm. I knew that I did not want to start keeping count.
Let me ask you this. Does the 6 years feel like 30, or does it feel like it flew by, like a year?
Both. Both.
Depends on the day.
Because it's weird, because the first Big Phone Home was only 5 months ago. It feels like it was 10 years ago. For some reason.
I mean...
It's so weird.
I still get real excited about little things, like for instance, when I see new listeners in our chat room, that excites me. Like, I've never seen this person before. I hope I can impress them to come on back or hit that subscribe button. Like, I feel like a big kid all the time, and I'm talking big kid here. But or when I have like my personal friends away from the show who will actually show up in the chat room and they'll make some like cheap snide personal comment in there. Stuff like that makes me laugh. But or getting invited to a conference, that is like, really, you want to speak with me, So, but I mean, what wears me down is the just the BS of it all. I mean, I don't like that. I try not to deal with it, and you're talking
about the drama or the business side.
I love the business side. The business
you're talking
side
about
is fun.
drama.
But the drama and all that. I don't want to get into that, but
well, the first big phone home, I let the schedule be open where people could just come in and pick where the time slot they want, and it was like first come first serve, and so some people didn't do it and they got stuck with somebody they didn't like or something like that, and they're like, well, I could never be on the phone with this person. I'm like, what is happening? Like, what are we doing right now? Okay, sure. Let me see if I can find you a different spot. But I mean, damn, man, like I sent you an email.
Right.
Real quick, do I have time to grab some water?
Oh yeah, we've got about 90 seconds here. So,
great. I'll be right back.
Hey, Michael, on the email for the big phone home, where do I find the schedule? All I see is day 1 here because I want to make sure. Let's see, when am I on?
Yeah, so there's the time schedule is not on the website. Do you need to know when you're on?
I'm on at 5 p.m. Pacific tomorrow, right?
Oh, you already know.
Yeah. I just found it. I just found it here.
Okay.
Yeah, that's exciting. So
yeah, you're on Saturday.
Is it Saturday
right?
I'm on?
I think so. Yeah. Let me double check. I'm pretty sure because Sunday is Science and Tech Day. Monday is Military and Government. So Saturday is radio journalists and
Yeah. So Lynn, for our audience, Lynn Wallington will be on at Saturday at 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern, and then I will be joining at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern on the big phone home. So that's going to be real exciting. I want to just quickly.
Oh, that's dope! You're closing up shop with us. I think you're shutting it down with us Saturday, right? Or no, you're 5 p.m. Eastern.
Yeah. No. 5 p.m. Pacific.
Oh, got it.
I want to say a quick shout out to Mo Ublek. Thanks for coming on into our chat room. Raven is Ryan. JJ Starr, thank you for joining us. I'm trying to get everybody in here before Gary the Spudger. How are you, buddy? Nice to have you here. And a big thank you to Malou. Skip to Malou, my darling. There you are. And
Snakes on a UFO. I love it.
Gorgeous Aussie Ange. Your hair looks fantastic tonight. Big thank you to Cat Chaser, Snakes, JJ, Apollo ×2, and Tewaz. Here we go.
Dude, Snake.
Second half hour of Spaced Out Radio is now underway. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. Really appreciate earning your listening ears. Want to remind you that if you missed portions of this show or others, check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram, Spaced Out Radio Show. We continue on tonight with the Big Phone Home 2. From Unidentified Celebrity Review, we have Lou Jimenez, we have Mike Mataluni. Later on, we'll be joined by their other cohort, Rather Be Spedding. Is that it? Spedding? Squidding.
He is the most mysterious man in ufology.
Tell me about it.
It's hilarious too because people don't quite know exactly what to make of the name, and they just love his like sweet little personality, and it's just like everyone just.
I fell in love with him and knew I was gonna make him a star the second I saw him.
Oh yeah.
Wow, that was the most egotistical thing I've said in probably 3 years.
I'm going to make you a star, son.
You're going to be a star, kid.
Yeah.
I'm going to make you a star.
That is awesome. Guys, I want to start with Mike. Let's start with you here in regards to the Unidentified Celebrity Reviews. Big show coming up this weekend called The Big Phone Home 2. Tell us what it's about.
The Big Phone Home 2 is a political movement, and the goal is to get people to get interacting with their congressmen and their senators in order to push for public congressional hearings on the UAP topic. We want as many answers as possible. The government has way more than it's telling us, but we're not naive enough to think that we're going to get all the answers we want. What we really want is to solidify this topic in the mind of the public so that we can ensure it doesn't fall off the radar again. There is way too much going on here that the public deserves to know. We pay their salaries and they owe us answers. So we want to push as hard as possible to get that. And the big phone home too, the actual event is going to be 3 days, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Labor Day weekend, the 4th, 5th, and 6th. And the idea is we're going to bring in an extraordinary amount of people, some amazing folks who are going to, like every hour is a panel. We've got like 4 people an hour for 24 hours straight. And it's just going to be a lot of fun. But we're going to be mobilizing people to get in touch with their congressmen, to get in touch with their senators so we can push the government, the federal government, for public hearings on the UAP topic.
Well, let's be clear. It's not 24 hours straight. It's 8 hours every day for 3 days. Yeah, total. Yeah.
And I think this is a great idea. And earlier on, you guys kind of discussed how the Big Phone Home kind of came together on everything and the success you guys have had with it. Lou, I want to bring you in here for a quick second. You know, putting a panel like this together, what do you look for in people that you want to talk on this event?
Ooh, well, for the first one, I was just looking for anyone that was interested in helping me spread the word, and also just names, like people who've been in this field for a long time. So I reached out to everyone that I had known, and I was pretty new to how many different podcasts and host shows, and so I had to do a crash course on UFO Twitter essentially, and I'm still learning. You know, like I just was reached out today or yesterday by someone in the UK. He's like, "Man, what do I got to do to get on this show?" I'm like, just ask. Like, just ask me and I'll make a spot for you. You know, if you're interested in helping me get this message out, I mean, you know, I had to go find everybody. And so I guess the there wasn't like a standard. We didn't have any standard. We were just like, okay, well, who's got a great voice, who's known in the community, and who's fun, like who's fun to talk to. But we also, of course, wanted to give the people what they want. You know, people want to hear from Lou Elizondo. People want to hear from Danny Sheehan. People want to hear from Rich Hoffman and Avi Loeb and Ross Coulthart. And so we brought those guys. We're bringing those guys. And you know, so the whole point of it is to, of course, provide people with wonderful conversation, but provide people that have no idea about this topic a way in without feeling weird about it. You know, like that's why we bring the humor, so you can like. I would have a hard time sharing UFO shows with my friends outside of people that I know that are into it. And so we're trying to make a show where people don't have that trepidation to share it. We've got science, you know, we've got the wizards, we've got everybody in between. We're trying to represent everybody in a whole, and again, take the topic seriously, but not ourselves. So we make it fun. So yeah, you know, the whole point is to bring all these voices, all of these different minds, have some great conversations, and hopefully inspire whoever's watching to sign the petition. Call a congressman or a senator, email them, tweet at them, however you're comfortable being interacting with your government. We try to provide every tool possible, and we're doing it for free, like we're giving it to you. You know, we don't want to charge anybody because, again, we feel this information should be free. But, you know, so that's how. I don't know if that answers your question specifically. We didn't have a checklist. We're just, it's cool. Who wants to talk to us? Who wants to join?
Yeah, we did create, Lou had this brilliant idea. He said, why don't we did the first big phone home in one day. What if we did 3 days? And what if each day had a theme? And what if, you know, so Saturday is journalists, radio, podcasters, YouTube content creators. Day 2 is going to be on the Singularity Lab because our focus there is science and technology. So that's going to be Science and Technology Day. And then day 3 is going to be military and government. So that was kind of the broad stroke that we used to create those buckets. But I tell you, the Big Phone Home 1, was one thing. But when we hit the Big Phone Home 2, we had the schedule was basically built out the second we put a pen to paper. We couldn't even fit the amount of people we wanted on the show into those 3 days, which makes me go, yeah, I think Lou's right. I think there's an opportunity to go 24 hours a day with this thing.
Yeah.
And you know what? Yeah, I think you guys got a real great idea with this, and by the success, I mean, look, the first one's always a free for all. The second one, all of a sudden, you're like, oh crap, we better have some guidelines here coming on this, But one of the things that I liked about it was, in your email that caught my attention that I really really enjoyed. This isn't a bashing session. This isn't a bashing of government. This isn't a bashing of ufologists. This isn't a take pot shots at people. This is about bringing the facts together. What can we do to all stand behind the word UFO or UAP? I realize you newcomers, you're all about the UAP, and I'm an old school UFO guy, right? And I mean that, but I think it's absolutely infectious on what you're doing in trying to bring the community together. How has the community reacted towards you guys stepping up and trying to be that glue that says, let's throw the BS to the side, let's throw the drama to the side, and let's just concentrate on UFOs for a couple of days? Because I think that's a brilliant strategy.
Yeah, I mean, go ahead, Lou.
I think for the most part, at least at face level, people love it. Basically after the first Big Phone Home, I was like, okay, who are the coolest people that I love talking to the most during the Big Phone Home? I'm going to put them all in a chat, and those are the people I'm going to pick, sort of make or ask to be part of my show, invite them on the show every day or every other day or every week. And let them be part of helping me grow this channel and sort of and have an equal say. Just come in and be like, hey, this is your show just as much as it is mine. And yeah, I mean, I think it's been received by most of the community pretty well. I think I've learned. By you telling me what you told me tonight, some people are just like, who is this guy? Why is he here? Who the hell is he? How did he get all these interviews? How did he do this? How did he do that? And it's a little bit of jelly, but that's cool. I had a feeling, look, you're not going to make everybody happy. But I think for the most part, man, I've met a lot of wonderful people. The amount of people that help this channel, that do stuff behind the scenes to make it work, is incredible. The people that have reached out, that have created websites, that have helped me put numbers, helped me design things for the channel, and have done it out of the goodness of their heart. It has been mind-blowing and absolutely human affirming. There are wonderful, wonderful people out there that if you just speak to them the right way, they'll help you, even when you don't ask them for help. So it's been a really wonderful experience. And yeah, there's going to be people that don't like it, but honestly, I don't engage anybody that wants to start a fight. I usually, if somebody's responding to me with a four thread response, I don't even read it. I was like, I don't have time for this. I've got a show to play and I've got stuff to do, So also, I don't know, Michael, what do you think?
Yeah, well, it's also fascinating because UFO Twitter is an interesting place, right? And so I'm a relative newbie here. I've only been involved in this conversation really for the past 8 months. And you notice very quickly that there are tribes and there are cliques and there are groups and there are subcommittees and there are all kinds of different people and groups that are, some like each other, some don't like each other. And so we kind of try to step in and be like, okay, let's let's not engage the differences. Let's engage the similarities. And that's really what we focus on during the shows. And even when we find people on Twitter who, say something negative or, are upset, we try not to spend too much time arguing with them on Twitter. We just say, hey, let's hop on the show, because the beauty of a long format conversation is it gives you the ability to get somebody else's perspective and understand where they're coming from, so you can actually empathize. Twitter is a horrible place if you want to practice any positive human emotion. So we're just like, hey, you see some negativity, and we try to bring it on the show. We try to have the conversation and give as many different types of people in this community of.
For the ones going above and beyond. For the ones reaching out, helping out, and lending a hand. For the ones people count on. You can count on Grainger. Grainger offers supplies and solutions for every industry. Backed by 24/7 customer support and specialists to help with hard-to-find products. Because you've got everyone's back. We've got yours. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Own the road with T-Mobile, the leader in 5G. Whether you're cruising through Nashville on I-40, heading down I-90 to Boston, or touring Santa Cruz in the 5, you'll be covered by the largest 5G network. T-Mobile covers the most interstate highway miles in America with 5G.
See 5G device coverage and access details at T-Mobile.com. Most reliable according to independent third-party Umlaut from crowdsourced user experience data from January to July 2021. Fastest according to Open Signal Awards based on average speeds in USA. 5G user experience report July 2021.
Voice, and people will say, why did you let that person on the show, or why did you let this person on the show? And it's like, because we want to hear their perspective, we want to try to understand it. We're going to hear your perspective too, we're going to hear their perspective too. And I think that has done a lot for, like, our listeners really appreciate it. I'm sure there are people out there who put up the fangs and are like, these guys are idiots, they're naive, they think they can unite people, and so, but that's okay. That's fine. We'll even listen to them. We'll even invite them on the show.
Yeah, I mean, that's the cool thing. That is, I think we've avoided a lot of Twitter issues that I think in the past would have blown up into something ridiculous where people ended up blocking each other. And I'll catch a lot of these things right before they get. I can see them escalating. It's like when I moved to New York City, my stepdad was a cop, and he would give me these tips. And I grew up around a cop, so like I sort of see trouble coming before it happens, and you could kind of see the same thing on Twitter. We're like, oh, okay, this is going to be a fight. So before it gets into the fight, I'll just throw in there, hey, you guys want to come on the show and talk about this? Let's because I have a feeling it's going to end up in a fight, and it's like, we're not going to solve this on Twitter. So if you want to come on the show, we can do that. And
we'll make some content out of it.
Yeah, let's make some content out of it. But let's try and find the common ground, because I have a feeling. Well, I don't have the feeling. Like, in Twitter, you talk past each other. You can't do that when it's a face-to-face video chat. Even if it's a video chat, like, people have a real hard time calling you an asshole. I'm sorry if I cursed. I didn't know if I was allowed to curse, or whatever. Like, it's so that we do try to do that a lot, and it's worked. Like, we've had people that have come on the show, we've ended up talking to them, and it's all good. Like, it's we're friends now, and we've had major disagreements with people, and they've come back on the show, and we always try to find the common ground. Like, what do we agree on? Let's move forward on that. And some people never want to talk to us again. Hey, it happens.
No, and the fact is, though, when you're trying to do what you can in order to bring the community level together, have you got any people who have said, I'm not doing the big phone home because you have ABC person up there, or I'm not doing the big phone home because I don't like cheese bread, or whatever it may be?
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
That surprises me.
Yeah, I had the first big phone home, a whole, you can ask Michael, at least 10 hours, so like legitimately 10 hours of my time, like the day before, was spent trying to make people understand. Like, because people would say, well, this person did this, like this illegal act, or they did this, like crazy things, right? And I'm like thinking to myself, well, if that's true, maybe it is. Did he serve jail time for it? Yes. Okay. So he's repaid his debt to society, right? Okay. I can't judge a man until they show me who they really are. And so I'm going to try and I'm going to give people the opportunity to show me who they are before I let somebody else tell me who they are, if that makes sense. So we tried to bring as many people as we could the first time, and I had no idea. I don't do background checks on people that I asked to come on the show. I don't go over their profiles to see if they're an anti-vaxxer or if they're a Trump supporter or if they're a Biden supporter.
Doesn't matter.
All I care about is, do you agree the government has more UFO information? Yes? Cool. You want to join us on these 3 days to demand more? Just send a petition and stuff? Yes? Cool. Awesome. Let's do it. Past that, I don't have the time. I don't.
All right, and without naming names, I'm going to put you guys on the spot as we are now joined by Rather Be Squidding on the UCR panel as well. So thank you, Rather, for joining us.
Yeah, hey, Dave.
Your hair looks fantastic.
Thanks for having me.
Hair looks fantastic, buddy.
Yeah, you go.
Yeah.
I got to go get a haircut tomorrow.
Oh, no, don't do that, Lou. Let it grow. Let it grow. But are there...
I got to look as professional as possible.
Let me ask you this then. Are there people within the UFO community that you guys as a group put a giant Sharpie X through and we're not having this person?
Nope.
Because there is that claim. There is that claim out there.
Yeah. Is there?
Yes.
No, we'll talk to anybody. We'll talk to anybody. Anybody.
But for the big phone home. For the big phone home.
Oh, for the big... yeah. Well, I mean, there hasn't been anybody that I've straight up said no to, unless they've asked too late. What I've tried as I've learned who people are and whose beefs are whose. I try if they come on the show, I try to separate them, but no. Michael, have I turned anybody down for the big phone home? I don't think so.
Only due to space issue. There's only so many slots.
Right.
But not due to, we haven't run across anybody who are absolutely do not bring them on.
Yeah.
No, I'm not saying that's not possible. I'm just saying we haven't run across that.
Well, if they're willing to come on and have the conversation, why not, right?
Why not? Yeah.
No, I think that's wonderful because I think you guys are a breath of fresh air. You're not falling, like I said earlier, you're not falling for the BS. You're not falling for, those online UFO Twitter fights. Hey, you want to talk about it? Let's talk about it on the show.
Yeah.
Let's.
Well, I know Rich from Goof On. He really hates us. I don't know what I did to the guy. Never talked to him. I'm more than happy to have him on the show. Talk to him. More than happy. I think if there's people that I haven't reached out to is because I'm there's just no way. There's no way they'd come on my show, because who am I? I'm nobody. There are people that have been on the show that for some reason haven't come back, and I've asked them.
Oh, we all get that. That's all.
Yeah.
That's all part of it. The main thing that I want to get into as we start to enter hour number 2 here in about 3.5 minutes is UFOs. Because in the end, it's not as much as it is about the community and bringing that knowledge together. It all comes down to UFOs. And Lou, you said you've had an experience. Michael, you've said you've had an experience. Rather, have you had a UFO experience?
I've been a lifelong fan, but have never not an experiencer.
Oh, there's always one who's different than the others.
Yep, and that is Rather.
Time.
Rather keeps us grounded.
Yeah, big time.
So for you guys, as we look into the UFOs, what do you think's going on? And Rather, since you're the new voice here, let's start with you on this one. What do you think's going on?
Yeah, so I kind of come at it from, there's a Fermi paradox which says, where is the life? We probably aren't so unique. There should be life all over. And I believe there undoubtedly is life all over, and they're probably here. Have you heard of the term the von Neumann machine, which is a self-replicating robot, which is the concept if you could create a robot, you could send it to the moon, it could gather resources and create a new one of itself, and send it off somewhere else. You could exponentially explore the galaxy. And if that's possible, they've got to be here already. And I think the real question is, why are they showing themselves to us? And if they are, how and why? Because I think they're undoubtedly here.
You know what? As an experiencer, I will say that it's incredible for me to even faction that there could be extraterrestrial life here. Walking around or in a forest or something along that lines. Like, it's hard to fathom, even though I've seen it with my own eyes. For you, rather, as we want to get you kind of warmed up into the show already here, do you look at it with about 90 seconds to go? Do you look at it as this is a giant story for humankind, or this one that could be just a bunch of sci-fi hoopla that people's imaginations have run wild?
It's hard to say. Yeah, I kind of go. I vacillate between one side or the other, kind of depending on what guests we'll have on the show. It's a very tough topic. There's consciousness. There's interdimensional hypotheses, and when you factor in religion to it too. I think that's a big aspect of it. I think potentially some of this is people trying to find religion as that kind of diminishes in our society. So I think there's so many things that could be going on here. It's really tough to tangle it all out.
But when it comes to UFOs, do you think we are, and I'll get the other guys to comment on this as well as we got 1 minute left, do you think we're starting to use science as a religion when it comes to UFOs? Because there isn't a lot of, as far as we know publicly, there's not a lot of science regarding the phenomena.
I think that science and religion are kind of at different ends of the spectrum. The religion aspect is people trying to explain stuff without a lot of foundation and kind of, theorizing. Science is more trying to see what is real and provable. And those are kind of at odds, I think. And we're getting to the point where science might be able to tap into some of this stuff. And maybe we have advanced sensors that can actually start to see this stuff and we can actually get a handle on what's going on. But yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of questions still.
Well, you know what, guys? We're going to get you guys to hold on right there because it is that time once again when we do have to step out for our radio side here on Spaced Out Radio. Take a quick break at the top of the hour. When we come back with the crew from the Unidentified Celebrity Review, we are going to get strictly into UFOs and the big phone home. What can people expect with the great event this weekend? What are UFOs? What is the government of the United States hiding that reflects on every other allied country, including Canada? Because that's where I am. I'm the token Canadian here. You know what? We have to make sure that we check this on out. Luis Jimenez, Michael Mataluni, Rather Be Squidding, the Unidentified Celebrity Review crew on Spaced Out Radio tonight. UFO talk all night long. Don't forget, at the back end of Hour 3, Dave 101, 3rd edition. We'll be back right after this. All right, we're clear.
Okay, I jumped the gun on that one. My bad.
Yeah, you jumped the gun on that one, Michael. Yeah, you totally jumped the gun.
That's all right. That's all right. The radio side, I can pot down here, so nobody will hear you on the radio side. Yeah,
see,
thanks to Lou making me edit after the show. Making me edit after the show. Hey, guys, I'm just going to quickly run my dogs out. I'll be right back, okay?
Yeah.
I'm going to use the restroom
Remember,
myself.
the YouTube audience is still live, okay?
Yeah, you got it. Look at what Ivy said. I'm surprised Lou or Mike haven't interrupted Rather yet. Oh, it'll come. It'll come. It'll come. Nice shirt, Rather.
Yeah, matching, just in different aspects. I like this one better, I think. I like the upper right hand, left hand UCR logo.
Yeah, I think that's the first one I designed. And
Well
then people
done.
were asking me for this big logo, and I was like, really? All right. That's what you want. So I got one myself just to see what it looked like. What were you doing tonight, Rather?
I was at improv class, actually.
You taking improv class?
Yeah,
Where?
Doing a little yes and over here in
Little yes-anding, a little zip-zap-zop?
yeah, you know it.
Yeah. Yeah, you'd be good at improv, rather. Where are you taking improv classes?
Jet City out in Seattle.
Jet City.
There's a couple little. There's that and Unexpected Productions are kind of the main ones out here. They're
okay.
Not quite the L.A. scene, I'm sure, but it's fun.
Hey man, dude, there's some really great improv in I've seen some of the best improv I've seen is in Baltimore.
Yeah,
a really great show. Chicago, obviously. I've seen great shows in Miami, where I'm from. So, there's a lot of great improvisers who, either studied in one of those, prestigious. They're not one of those programs.
Were y'all talking shit about me and Dave?
No. We were. Oh my god! So it's the best improv in Afghanistan. They learned how to. Oh my goodness! They fly those Black Hawk helicopters pretty damn fast. That's true, man. Pretty wild. That's funny. You're taking improv. What is it like? Is this the first improv class you've ever taken?
Oh, I took an improv class too.
Yeah, I took a couple before the old quarantine shut everything down, and just kind of spinning that back up. Took a couple
Good for you.
And take another one now. Yeah, it's get you out of your comfort zone. Have a little fun.
Dude,
good time.
So out of your comfort zone. Like it was. Yeah, it's fun, but it's horrifying when you're first getting into it. I love it.
Yeah, it's always like before class, you're like, I kind of don't want to go, but then by the middle of it to the end of it, you're like, this is a lot of fun.
Yeah, exactly. 100%. No, it's yes, and how powerful that is.
Yes, and dude, that changed my life.
Oh my goodness, dude, Grant Levac is just out of control.
What is he doing?
Out of control with these.
I'm almost scared to look sometimes. That Lou coming out of that guy's stomach.
For that Total Recall one.
Yeah, that's too much for me.
Horrifying. Absolutely horrifying. Yeah.
But the Pepsi commercial one is fantastic.
That one was cool. And this one's not too bad.
Which one?
I'm trying to think. I wonder if Grant, can you make one where I'm Steve Zissou from The Life Aquatic? That's my favorite movie.
Yeah, that's great.
I think I've seen that movie 400 times.
Oh, the School of Rock one. That's good. Nice.
We got about just over 90 seconds, guys.
Cool.
90 seconds heard.
I hate taking my dogs out right now. I got a big black bear that's wandering around my neighborhood right now.
Ooh.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
Canadian problems.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
It is. So my kid was playing outside today with his buddies, and all of a sudden, one of his buddies' dads comes running out. Guys, get inside. There's a bear, and literally where they were playing, the bear was like 80 feet away. Right.
Oh my God.
Right?
Wow.
And so the other neighbor's dog chased the bear up the tree, and so we walked over there. The bear's sitting up in the tree, and we're all like, "Oh, this is kind of cool," So it's kind of hilarious because the bear just ended up taking a nap right in the tree there. There he is, right there.
Oh my goodness.
Right.
Damn.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
He doesn't look. I mean, I don't know, but was he big? How big was he?
Oh, he's a big guy. He's a pretty big guy. I mean, he was probably
Lou's like, I could take him.
He was probably a bit of a blurry photo. I'm not sure if I believe you, Dave.
Yeah, swamp gas. Swamp gas in that street.
Or it's too clear to be real.
Total swamp. Yeah,
isn't that bad?
It's dots. It's a bunch of dots.
That's it, dude. There's no winning. There's no winning.
I mean, dude, it's so, but it's true because it happens to me too. Where I'll watch something, I'll be like, "Yeah, this is so because it looks so good."
Oh yeah, we're on in 15 seconds. Thank you to G West, JJ7, Cat Chaser, Snakes, Apollo ×2, and Tewaz for the amazing super chats. It's a great way to support what we do on this show. Thank you to our new subscribers. Horns up, Bumblefoot's coming now.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott. Follow Dave on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Facebook, Spaced Out Radio Show.
Hour number 2 of Spaced Out Radio is underway tonight. Thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate each and every one of you tuning us on in wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Thank you to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America and digitally on TalkStream Live, Revolution Radio, and KPNL. All of our archives are free by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Maravodage. Maravodage is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets a password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram, Spaced Out Radio Show. We continue on tonight with the guys from UCR, Unidentified Celebrity Review, Luis Jimenez, Michael Mataluni, and Ratherby Squidding. They are putting on the Big Phone Home 2 on their YouTube channel this weekend, which is a collection of UFO insiders, journalists, scientists, researchers, investigators, bringing on home the message that we can try and push the government as the people to disclose what they know about UFOs. And let's dig deep into it. And Lou, let's start with you. What do you think the government is hiding about UFOs?
Well, that's a good question. I wanted to ask you a quick question before we got into it, though.
Okay.
Can you answer for me? Who's the Clam?
The Desert Clam.
Yeah, who's the Desert Clam?
Oh, that's a secret. That's
man.
Behind a paywall.
God, I'm dying to know where is this Desert Clam?
The Desert Clam. The Desert Clam is a mysterious shellfish that pops in once a night to drop the password. And and so then the people will say, "Well, what's the password for?" And it's a riddle. It's a riddle. What's the password for? Exactly is the answer. Exactly is the answer.
Yeah, or Chad Smith.
You know, over the years of doing this show, I will say this: you guys will get it too. But you end up growing these little quirks that that nobody gets except you guys. The password, the Chad Smith thing. We have a few of them that nobody knows. I don't even know what the password is for, to be absolutely blunt.
I love that there's like probably a kid with a decoder ring with the password, and he's I don't know, opening up.
I remember about 4 years ago, there was one of our listeners, and I forget who it is. They were so upset that they would say, what's the password for? And we just kept saying, exactly. Right? Exactly. And they got so upset they actually unsubscribed from the channel. And we never saw them again. Never saw them again. That's
hilarious.
Yeah.
Hilarious. They just didn't get it.
No.
Welcome to the Crossroads Podcast, a new project by Giorgio Armani. My name is Charlie Teasdale, and I'm the style director at Esquire in London, and I will be your host. In this new podcast, we will interview 13 incredible women in 13 different countries, asking them to share their stories. Stories of success and of overcoming difficulty. Stories about the choices they have made in order to become the women they are. The Crossroads Podcast will be available on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Bad phone systems are bad for business. Poor clarity, lack of features, absolutely no support. Well, good news. Reliable VoIP does exist. VoIP from C Spire Business is a game-changing, stress-free communication system with crystal clear audio and premium features, all backed by our team of experts, available 24/7. Now that's VoIP. C Spire Business. Stay connected with powerful communication tools at cspire.com/business.
So if somebody could tell me what the password is for, You're a better person than me because I have no clue.
I'll bet Jazz knows.
No, Jazz in our chat room should be in bed right now. He's got school in the morning. His mom is going to get real upset with him. But let's get back to UFOs, guys. All right, Lou, what is the government hiding about UFOs?
It's a loaded question. I don't. I don't know. I don't know how deep that goes. I don't even know if it belongs to the government. It's more in the hands of private companies. At this point, I think it's so compartmentalized and decompartmentalized that it's tough to put a finger on exactly what they have. Part of me really, really, really thinks that they've cracked this. Like, they know exactly how to use this tech. They've know how to build this tech for a really long time. It would not shock me at all if that's part of this story. But it also wouldn't shock me if they found something on like an archaeological dig and, reverse engineered it. Here's what I do know. They have a longer version of that gimbal video. They have a longer version of the Tic Tac, and they have a longer version of the Go Fast. I also would like to get the audio of the Aguadilla footage. And I would like more data on just what's available. Because I know 100% they're holding that back. That I can guarantee. I could put a nail through that. Anything past that, it's really difficult for me to sort of give an answer. So that's why we're... Yeah, go for it, Mike.
Yeah, I was going to say they also have a classified UAPTF report.
Yes.
And that I want to effing see that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Me too.
That'd be huge. Nice. That's huge. I mean, what did these senators and congressmen see when they said they were so spooked by the classified UAPTF report, right? That's the information that I think we want and deserve, because if that is something truly if there is something truly extraordinary going on behind the scenes here, whether it's terrestrial, extraterrestrial, interdimensional, ultra-terrestrial, right? Whatever that is, then it's the biggest story to ever hit this planet since we've developed cerebral cortex, right? It's the thing that connects us with something truly extraordinary, and I don't know what that is, man. But I know the government knows more.
Take that back. Well, I could also take that back a little bit. Like, we also have to understand that, we talked to Tommy Zito yesterday, and his congressman knew about the report, but didn't get briefed on it.
Yep.
Didn't request to get briefed on it. And it's not so much that he's not interested. It's just his constituency isn't demanding him to be briefed on it. Nobody's, the only person who's really sort of been on his butt about it for 2 years, it took Tommy Zito to get in front of his congressman and have a sit down 10-minute conversation where he expressed his concerns about these UAPs. And actually, I think, according to Tommy, actually caught the attention of this congressman on a couple of things that he pointed out. And I think, especially if a couple more people within his district called him and said, "Hey, Tommy Zito, I loved what you did with it." I think I would also like to know the questions that Tommy Zito asked. I want you to get briefed. I want you to tell us what's happening. I think his Congressman Perlmutter would look into it because he's on the committees that kind of directly have to do with this topic.
Right. And it's super bizarre too, because to expect them to actually want to get information. I mean, I'm super curious, so I want to know. But these politicians, all they care about is votes. I mean, it's like that's all they care about. So they're not going to look into things that don't represent their constituents, right?
I want to throw some gas on that from a Canadian side, gentlemen, because over the last year and a bit, I have been in contact with a couple members of a couple of Canadian politicians, staff in Ottawa, our nation's capital. and they have been talking to me pretty closely about the whole UFO phenomena and doing some digging for me, and we're all trying to figure out what Canada's role is on this. And the other day,
Right.
when I was talking to the guy, I said, you guys literally have dropped the ball. I said, when the DNI report came out, within 2 weeks, the British government was talking about that in their House of Lords. I said, you guys did nothing. You did nothing. You could have opened up the entire conversation. I said, how can you sit there and drop the ball on something? If you're sitting there telling me as a journalist off the record, because I always make sure that all of our conversations are off the record unless I say, can I go on record with this? I said, why would you drop the ball like that? And the whole point was, they said, yeah, we did. We dropped the ball on it. And now, here's the screwed up part. Canada is now in an election run because we have a federal election on the 20th. And nobody is talking UFOs. Nobody. Why not? We should be.
We wouldn't here, and if it was an election year, the UFOs would not even be talked about. It's the same thing. We're in the same place as you are.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But I mean, we're trying to change it, but it's tough, man, because there's a lot of real world issues. The timing of this big phone home, unfortunately, is coming up against, two pretty big events, that just happened, with Afghanistan and the hurricane, there's real world hurt going on, so we don't want to be insensitive to that. And we understand that, and that's why we're not angry with these requests. We're respectfully asking our congressmen and senators if they've got the time to please take a look at this and consider public congressional hearings, because there is a part of your constituency, and whether you know this or not, and whether your constituency knows this or not, they need to know this. They need to be briefed on this, and they need to understand that there is in the sky that our pilots are chasing. They're catching on video. They're catching over nuclear sensitive nuclear bases and fleets. I'm sure if the average American voter actually knew that was fact, there'd be a couple more phone calls going, hey, we want to know more. And so that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to make people aware that there's a there. And we're also trying to let our government know, hey, look, you've got a golden opportunity right now to win a lot of trust, to win a lot of brownie points with the American people, because there's a huge trust issue right now between the government and the people. And if you can even be a little bit honest with this, and like I said, not give us the alien body or the craft, but just give us more data on the information that's already out there, that's already public. What's so crazy about that? It's not an unreasonable request.
Well, I think there's a reason behind that, and rather I'm going to get you, because you've kind of sat here quiet for the longest time, but I think there is a reason behind that, guys, and that is the fact that they are afraid of what the public is going to do. I mean, we have to understand, if all of a sudden they come out and say there are aliens on this planet, there are UFOs coming from Zeta Reticuli and the people on board have big gray heads with big almond-shaped eyes, and we don't know what they're here for, I think you could absolutely bring a mass panic. And not to get into the whole COVID debate, but this is something I've said on this show before, and when I've been interviewed by other radio stations regarding this. I think the big issue is they got a very big taste of how people reacted when COVID first hit, where people panicked. They bought up all the milk, all the toilet paper, all the meat in supermarkets. They went crazy. This is something that is going to affect every person on this planet, and I think that really set back a lot of this discussion of what do we do if there are aliens visiting here, rather.
Yeah, well, I think there might be some of that sentiment, maybe in, the secret SAP programs and the people that are, military people that are holding those secrets. But I think your day-to-day congressperson is more than they're afraid of, upsetting and starting alarm with the American public. I think they're afraid still of the stigma and looking like fools if they come out and say that there's UFOs exist. They think they're going to get made fun of and ridiculed and probably lose their career. And, they might be right. I think that, we're still in a kind of a chicken and an egg situation where we have to get the public to put the pressure on Congress to give us this information. And Congress is there sitting there saying, we're not going to give the information unless we have the public demanding the information. So there's kind of both sides waiting for the other one to take the initiative. And I think that's why we need things like Big Phone Home. I think that, we're not going to solve this in a weekend, but it's going to be a start of a sustained conversation that will hopefully, get the ball rolling here.
Yeah, and the only politically valid perspective you can take would be to use the threat narrative. And that's the only politicians you see talking about UFOs are the ones talking about the threat narrative.
Very true. Very true. Go ahead, Lou.
If I can real quick, there was a $20 super chat statement there that I just wanted to address. And he said, here's the best advice you'll get legally lobbying the federal government. People in the know call it leaning on the wall. You need to find a way to apply years of sustained pressure. 2 days a year won't cut it. I 100% agree with you. That's why we say all the time, the Big Phone Home is not a weekend or an event or a day. It's a state of mind. The website can be used all year round. It doesn't have to be used on just the Big Phone Home. But the reason why we want to do it in a 3-day spurt is so when Congress gets to their office on Monday or Tuesday and they look at their voicemail boxes or they look at the inbox on the email, they'll go, what the hell is this?
Yes.
Like, what is this? Or whoever at the Twitter account over the weekend is going to be like, what is going on? I mean, look, we've already got a congressman coming to the Big Phone Home.
Yeah, and
our first congressman signed on. Sorry, rather, go ahead.
Well, yeah, it's not only those 3 days. It's, you've created an awesome website which kind of teaches you how to do this, right? So it's 3 days of teaching people how to approach Congress, because it is intimidating to pick up your phone and try to find your congressman and call them. Like I think that, we need to show people that you can do it. And once they know how, they can, that's not the end, keep on doing it.
Yeah. And it's not that hard.
Sorry, go ahead, Lou.
No, I was gonna say it's not that hard. Like, and also if you're not the type of person who likes calling people, you can email, you can tweet, you can sign a petition. Like there are other forms of activism that you can take where you don't, if you're an introvert, you don't have to go out of your way and call anybody. But yeah, go ahead, Michael.
Well, yeah, I was just going to say, and you can use it for other things as well. Like you can use this for any cause that you believe in. Right? It's simple instructions on how to contact the government. Yes, we're using it for UAP and UFO disclosure purposes, but it can also be. So we want people to engage their government. They work for us.
It's basically, like Brother said, it's a 3-day event to show people how to engage their government. And if you want to engage your government on UAPs, then we've made the website tailored specifically for that. But if you want to engage your government on any other topic that you want, like Michael said, you can do that through our website. You can find your congressman and your senator, and you can sort of follow our format. You have to write your own email. Like we won't have, we're not going to have an email, for you ready if it's outside of the UAP topic. But you can find them through our website and use the same tactics that we are. Because like I said earlier, Tommy Zito, he was relentless for 2 years. So you're right. Yeah, we're going to have to do 30 Big Phone Homes maybe before we get through, but we're not going to stop. And no, it's not a 3-day event. You could do this anytime. You could reach out to them every day if you wanted to with our website.
We got
big shout out to Alicia, our girl, 1999 in the house.
Yes, for our radio people, we collect super chats on our YouTube channel, so we sometimes get lucky there. Thank you, Alicia. Appreciate that. We got 5 minutes to go before we got to go to break at the bottom of the hour. The Unidentified Celebrity Review team of Luis Jimenez, Mike Mataluni, and Ratherby Squidding are here talking about the Big Phone Home coming up this long weekend on their YouTube channel. So if you have an interest in UFOs, we definitely think you should check it on out. You know, one of the things, guys, and Mike will bring you in on this, you know, even though you guys are American, you guys are lobbying the U.S. government, the senators, the Congress people, okay, this formula also works in other countries, whether it's where I am in Canada, whether it's over the United Kingdom, Australia, France, wherever. This formula to put that pressure on does work elsewhere as well.
Yep, that's exactly right. Yeah, and you know, we don't we don't have each of the different countries pinpointed on exactly what you do, but it's the same process. It's the exact same process. So you can use any of these formats that we have here in any country. It doesn't have to be the United States.
But if you are outside of the country and you want to reach one of our representatives, you can do so through Twitter. Nothing's stopping you there.
That's true. Yes.
You know, so if you want to help us influence our lawmakers, you can do that. You can do that through Twitter. That's the beauty of sort of the communication systems that we've built, you know? So,
yeah, it's a voice amplification system. You can literally amplify your voice here in the United States to push for the U.S. UAPTF report.
Yeah, because I mean, I think, and maybe I'm just naive, or it's a little bit egocentrical to say this, but as an American, I feel like if the United States is first to really be honest with this, it's going to set the stage for everyone else to follow. And I think a lot of countries might even be waiting for the U.S. to sort of spill the beans on this.
But that's a good point, though, because, okay, Russia and China are always looking to screw the U.S. over.
Right.
At least on the forefront, that's what we are told. What would happen if one of them disclosed? What would happen if, you know, I don't think it would work if Canada disclosed or France or Portugal or Brazil or whomever, because we've seen other countries come out and they don't care. I don't think it would work if India or Australia or Thailand worked either. It has to be one of the big three in order to do this. Maybe Japan would be another one that we could throw in there for that. I don't even think it would be the UK. But nonetheless, we got 2 minutes left. You know, are we putting too much pressure on it having to be the United States? Rather, let's get your opinion.
Well, I think you're assuming that there is something to disclose, right? If the answer is we know that there's unexplained phenomena going on, but we just literally have no idea what it is, then I think that that's in a different scenario, right? Then no one's going to want to disclose that. Russia's not going to want to admit that. China's not going to admit that. And the United States isn't going to want to admit that. And I personally think that's probably what's going on.
Do you not think though, and anybody can answer on this, we got 90 seconds. Do you not think though that this shows an overall world narrative that in the public we may not be friends with Russia and China, but there's a bigger picture here when it comes to UAP, and we all have to team up to figure out what's going on? Could that be possible?
I think if we have a common enemy, that would be possible, but I don't know that we are actually under threat from this phenomenon. Now, it's always difficult saying the phenomena, right? Because there are 1,000 different unidentified flying objects. You know, there are millions of unidentified flying objects out there. There are so many things you can't identify when you see it. So, you know, it's very difficult to assume that the governments all know of this, you know, extraterrestrial threat or this extraordinary intelligence that was beyond human, right? Like, if they all knew that, we would be having a very different conversation in a very different world right now, I believe.
Anybody else?
I think it's more likely that they all know it than that one would know it.
I agree. That's my point, because you don't see this. You don't see all these governments uniting. And I think if they all knew, then you'd see them all uniting. And we don't see that.
Well, we're soon going to see, because this topic is one that is not going away. The cat has been let out of the bag for the last 3 years. And we're going to go to break here at the bottom of the hour on Spaced Out Radio, where we are going to continue the UFO talk with the team from Unidentified Celebrity Review, Luis Jimenez, Mike Mataluni, Rather Be Squidding. We're going to continue the UFO talk. Big Phone Home 2 this weekend on the UCR YouTube channel. Make sure when you visit it, you hit that subscribe button there. You're going to want to enjoy the 3 days of UFO talk. We'll be back with more Spaced Out Radio coming up right after this. All right, boys, we're good.
Damn, Dave, you reset the room even better than Lou and Mike.
Dude, his radio voice is incredible.
He's a professional radio.
I know
personality.
I'll tell you a quick story. So here I am trying to get into broadcasting school in 1996. And there is this a panel of 4 guys sitting there, 4 instructors sitting there, and there's 4 of us. There's 3 women and myself, and thankfully in the end, all 4 of us ended up getting in. And this is a program that only took 40 people per year. And so they're looking over my resume because you have to submit a resume to them. And they look over my resume, and it says I'm a sports guy and all this kind of stuff because I like my hockey. Go figure, And one of the instructors, Robin Piercy is his name, and he was just the greatest mentor in radio that I ever had. And he says, "So, what do you think about the Montreal Canadiens?" And I looked at him and I went, "Not a fan." And I kind of ended it on a high note question mark, and he takes my resume, he throws it on the ground, and he says, "Get the hell out of here, you're done."
Wow.
And I am sitting there, jaw dropped. Like, I'm almost in tears at this point. And I'm like, oh my God, what did I just do? And the entire board starts laughing. And Robin's like, "It's okay. We're just teasing you. You've been teased before, right?"
Own the road with T-Mobile, the leader in 5G. Whether you're cruising through Nashville on I-40, heading down I-90 to Boston, or touring Santa Cruz in the 5, you'll be covered by the largest 5G network. T-Mobile covers the most interstate highway miles in America with 5G.
See 5G device coverage and access details at T-Mobile.com. Most reliable according to independent third-party Umlaut from crowdsourced user experience data from January to July 2021. Fastest according to Open Signal Awards based on average speeds in USA. 5G user experience report July 2021.
Own the road with T-Mobile, the leader in 5G. Whether you're cruising through Nashville on I-40, heading down I-90 to Boston, or touring Santa Cruz in the 5, you'll be covered by the largest 5G network. T-Mobile covers the most interstate highway miles in America with 5G.
See 5G device coverage and access details at T-Mobile.com. Most reliable according to independent third-party Umlaut from crowdsourced user experience data from January to July 2021. Fastest according to Open Signal Awards based on average speeds in USA. 5G user experience report July 2021.
Right? It scared the daylights out of me. Love it.
That's fantastic.
Oh, yeah.
Dave, I got time to go to the restroom?
Yeah, man. Yeah, you got a couple of minutes.
Sweet.
Dave, do you really think that if the government disclosed that UFOs were real and they were extraterrestrial, we would see mass panic? Do you think? Okay, yeah. Here's my real question: do you think people would believe the government if they did disclose?
I think if it came out properly, President Biden or whoever it is comes out at the Oval Office and says, at a press conference, my fellow Americans, we have made contact. I think shit hits the fan.
You do?
I do.
Huh.
And maybe not right off the bat, okay, because I think what happens is they delay. There's a big difference between the president coming out and saying that we've made contact compared to the president coming out and saying they're here. Do you see what I'm saying?
Ooh, yeah.
Big difference. And you got to what we also have to realize too, okay, is there are still 4.5 billion people on this planet that pray to a religious deity.
Right.
Okay, more than half of the people on this planet are religious one way or another. And a lot of those religions believe that anything coming from the sky is demonic and is the start of Armageddon.
the Catholics tried to get in front of that.
Well, I realize that, but there's still but there's still a lot of hardcore Catholics who still believe. I know the church across the Greenbelt from the studio here, okay, that guy is crapping bricks over UFOs and aliens. I've had that conversation with him. Right? I mean, there's a lot of people. I mean, don't get me wrong. There are the progressives. Like the guy I work for during the day, he's a big time churchgoer, very conservative man. But he's very open to the fact, like he says, if I'm a believer in God, I have to believe that we're not the only life form that he has created. There's got to be others out there. So you do
That's pretty arrogant.
You do have that progressive thought in it, but the majority of it, if you're part of a religion that's partying in 2021 like it's 1499, okay, there's troubles there. You know what I'm saying? You're going.
I do.
I
did find it fascinating that the Pope came out and said, "Look, there might be extraterrestrials, but that doesn't mean that Jesus still isn't the savior." Like they were like, "There's aliens and Jesus is your Lord and Savior."
Well, but the other part is, we got about 25 seconds here. The other part is how you have a mass bunch of the public that is going to panic. Okay, we all panic. We all panic during 9/11. We all panic during COVID. How does that affect everything? 10 seconds, guys. Fat Bass, Alicia, Spooky, Excalibur, Patrick, G West, JJ7, Cat Chaser, Snakes, Apollo Times 2, and Taywads. Thank you for the super chats. Here we go. Second half of Spaced Out Radio is now underway. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. We really do appreciate earning your listening ears wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Thank you to everyone who checks out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do us the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Follow us on Twitter @Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram, Spaced Out Radio Show. We continue on with the Big Phone Home 2 this weekend, and it's going Saturday, Sunday, Monday on the YouTube channel of Unidentified Celebrity Review. And with that team, we have Luis Jimenez, we have Mike Mataluni, we have Ratherby Squidding, the gentleman behind this wonderful project in bringing the UFO community together. And we're talking UFOs tonight because there's always a big contention of what are UFOs? What is being hidden from the public? Mike, I want to start with you on this one because one of the things that disappointed me a couple of months ago when the DNI report came out on UFOs, the Department of National Intelligence, where it was only 9 pages. Out of those 9 pages, there was a lot of scribbling, and we really got 4.5 pages of full intel. But the problem that I had with it, more so than that, was that it only went back to 2004. Like, they're trying to start a narrative from 2004 on up. And anything that happened in the 20th century just doesn't exist at this time. What was your thoughts on that?
Well, I'm not surprised by it. I pretty much assumed they wouldn't be going that far back because of the limited manpower and the amount of money that this department actually had to gather the intel, not to mention the massive compartmentalization, not to mention the military distrust between the armed services. So that's a minefield. I mean, if you think about how difficult it is to get that information, plus you have things buried in the DOE, right? You have the Department of Energy in the United States where they're compartmentalized and you can't use Freedom of Information Acts to access those private companies. So we're in a real tricky situation when it comes to even the government investigating itself. So I'm not surprised at all that we got what we got. If you look at the different services that they interviewed, I mean, the CIA wasn't on that list. The Air Force was not on that list. So, it's not surprising to me at all. Was I disappointed? Yeah, my expectations were tiny.
Yeah, and I think it's even worse than that. I think that the majority of all the reports that the UAP task force looked at were in the last year or two. I think that they only went back as far as 2004 because they probably looked at the Nimitz incident too. That's, I think, probably the only incident they looked at from 2004 to 2018.
Right. It's like the second coming. It's like, Roswell was like, the Old Testament, and then the Nimitz is the New Testament.
Yeah. I mean, Lou Elizondo, if you just listen to Christopher Mellon and Lou Elizondo in the buildup to that report, they're like, guys, there are parts of the department that have no idea that this report's even due. Like, would we be surprised if we even get a report? And the things that when we were talking to Lou during the first big phone home, because I wanted Lou Elizondo and Christopher Mellon to write the templates for people to email, because they would know exactly what to ask for. They would know how to word it and phrase things. Like Sean Cahill said on our show, if I want to talk about ice cream, I want to hear about ice cream, I want to hear about it from Ben and Jerry's. If I want to hear about, the military, I want to hear from people who have worked within the military. And so, that was sort of the idea of trying to get them the right templates. It was difficult. We basically, hijacked James Fox's, from his UAP Act Now website and kind of used that and made our own the first time. But the beautiful thing is this time around, we got John Greenwald to write one. We got Ratherby Squidding to write one. We got Tommy Zito to write one. So, we've got some really great templates. I've already got a response from my senator in California, Alex Padilla, from the emailing that I did live Saturday night on my show, showing people how to use the website and how to activate themselves and what I do to sort of try and get their attention. And it's working, these are great templates. So, yeah. I mean, they were saying things like, be surprised to get a report at all. The way I was explained, it was like, this is kind of like a kid trying to put a book report together the night before the book report is due. And that's what it was. And so our expectations were really, really low. We were actually kind of, I remember we did a show the day, literally, the news broke as we were doing our show. And I was like, this is great. There's a lot of great admissions in this report. And the thing that I loved about it the most, it's a preliminary report. It's not even the report. They're not even done with it. So I got a lot of hope for the future when it comes to the reports that we're going to start getting every 90 days. And I got a lot of hope that we're going to maybe get some actual funding for the UAPTF. And I got a lot of hope that we're gonna get congressional hearings and that we're gonna maybe get some more pieces of the stuff that's already out there as far as information is concerned. So,
and the big phone home can help with that. And that's what I want people to just get that in your DNA right now. If you're listening to this, go to thebigphonehome.com. Be there this weekend. Help us push them, because if we can build momentum and make real noise, then this thing just gets bigger. And this is just this is only the second big phone home. This is a lifestyle, as Lou said. This is a mission that is continuous and will not stop until we get the answers we're looking for.
But here's the big question, though, guys. Okay, because I've always been a guy where I try and forewarn my listeners to sit back and watch what happens before throwing support behind this entire subject. I did it with the TTSA, and, unfortunately, on a lot of the stuff I had warned our listeners about, it ended up being right. I'm doing the same thing with the claims that the lady Anjali is making regarding her claims of extraterrestrials. Not that I'm trying to pick on that person or say this is bad, but when you make a lot of extraordinary claims publicly like that, you have to be able to back it up, right? Now, a lot of people will say, well, you're an experiencer, Dave. You can't back up your claims. All I can do is tell the truth.
Right.
Well,
Go ahead.
The UAP task force made some incredible claims. They said that there's 18 incidents in the last 2 years that had flight characteristics that were literally unexplainable. They're telling us that there's these crazy reports.
I understand that, but the thing that I'm getting at is, and the question where I'm leading this to is, and rather we'll start with you on this, is a lot of people, such as myself, are very concerned about the narrative. There is a backdoor narrative going on about this subject. Lou Elizondo recently spoke about it with Christina Gomez, about how they shut down all the UFO news for a couple of months. We've seen, like the DNI preliminary report, only going back to 2004. Why not talk about the previous? And to me, that harbors a lot of questions that are not being asked either by the UFO community or the mainstream media. Let's go with you, rather.
Well, yeah, I think that there's a lot of mistrust of the government, and I think that the only thing that I think that skeptics and believers could all get behind is that we need transparency and disclosure from the government. And I guess that's a hard thing because there's always in the back of your mind when you get that is it real, right? Like, how can we get disclosure and know that it's real disclosure? I don't know the answer to that, but we're not going to get disclosure if we don't ask for it, right? That's one thing I know for sure, and I don't think there could be any harm in getting these 18 reports of unusual UAP characteristics. I don't know who's against getting more information about that stuff, right?
No, I understand that, but do you worry about the narrative that's being played out?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think there's definitely, we talk about To the Stars, all these different players. I don't think that we're probably getting the whole truth from, any of these people who say they have secret knowledge. We're obviously not getting the whole truth because they're telling us that they're not giving us the whole truth, right? So there's a lot of unknowns, and I think that there are people trying to influence the narrative. I think, the threat narrative, all these different things are very potentially troublesome, but the, truth is the best disinfectant, and I think that that's really all we can do.
Lou, let's get your answer on that.
Well, I think, the narrative for us is to try and kill stigma and to try and kill ideas that are dangerous, like false flag narratives. It's just, it doesn't do it doesn't do our society any good with those kinds of discussions. And we're trying to beg our elected officials, look, like, this is dangerous. People are thinking dangerous things about you guys, and why don't you quell a little bit of this craziness with just being honest with us? And it doesn't take, it doesn't take a lot. All they have to do to really sort of to squash a lot of these very dangerous narratives is just be more honest with the information that's already available. That we're already familiar with, whether that's information from the 70s, 80s, 90s, or if that's more information on the Tic Tac Nimitz, Go Fast, and Aguadilla footage. I personally, I would like to focus on those because they're so new and the instruments around those cases are really, really good. And the Navy has already confirmed all of them for the most part. It's the narrative. That's what we do every day on our show is we dissect what is the narrative, who's saying what today, and, can we trust the narrative? And we slice the narrative as many different ways as we can. We play devil's advocate with it. We try to put ourselves in the shoes of the government and kind of why would they take this position? What's the motivation? What could they possibly be thinking? And that's fun to think about, but we also once we're done thinking about it and theorizing and posturizing about it, then we could always come back to the terra firma, the what are the facts, and then go forward from there. But unfortunately, we don't have a choice. Like, we're the lapdogs in this situation. Like, we don't have it. We have to take the scraps that fall off the table and before we gobble them up, just look at them as best we can and try to be as level-headed as we can.
Michael, I would love for you to comment on this as well.
Man, I have been back and forth on this. The same way I've been back and forth on what UFOs are in their many different buckets and forms. I've been back and forth on this idea of what is the narrative, and I've flip flopped in my own mind about 1,000 times, and my fear, as Lou brought up earlier, is always getting suckered. Right? I never want to be the sucker. I never want to fall for some BS, whether it's from the government or any organization and any individual. So I'm kind of agnostic when it comes to that because I don't know what the truth is, but I definitely, I definitely know that there is, there's individuals within the government who have things to lose and gain by keeping secrets. And we know that they've been known to mess with the public before, right? We know the government and the military industrial complex is willing to manipulate us on, extraordinary levels. So the bottom line is I don't trust any of them. And I think that that's probably a pretty good narrative to have. And I encourage you not to trust your politicians.
Well, I say trust them until they give you a reason not to.
I don't. I think it's the opposite for me. I distrust them unless they give me a reason to trust them.
Interesting. When I think government, I mean like Lou Elizondo's story or Christopher Mellon's or David Fravor.
Sure. I wasn't talking about those guys outside of the government now. I'm talking about people in the government currently. But you do have to wonder. I'm always
the questions
wondering.
Always has to be asked.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, with anything, you got to take it with a large grain of salt and use your own best judgment, right? Like, don't rely on a authority figure for your argument. You gotta kind of figure it out for yourself to some degree.
But how many politicians actually know? How many politicians are actually in the know when it comes to UFOs? They are more about their constituencies, their ridings. Right. They are more about getting elected, keeping their seat, the backstabbing and the social media presence, the kissing babies and touching elbows. As much as I hate that crap, I don't even get me started on that one. But I shouldn't have mentioned that. But that is what they are interested in. They have a job to do, which is to stay reelected. They want that government pension. UFOs does not fall into that. So how do you combat that where a politician, the majority of them today, I think we could all agree, are more selfish about their own careers than actually helping out? And how do you get them, when they are so selfish about it, not all of them, how do you get them to change their mind, to get that UFO topic into their brains?
Yeah, I think you do what Tommy Zito did, right? Is you talk to your local congressman who is your constituent, who you vote for, and you get you and your buddies, everyone to contact them and tell them to take the issue seriously. Because they're not going to take it seriously unless their voters, their constituents, are forcing them to. Because you're totally right. Tommy Zito, his representative, he didn't even read the task force. He had no idea that Harry Reid was making these claims. We have to bring this information to them.
Right. And look, we're going to have Congressman Tim Burchett out of Tennessee. Dan Warren, who is a friend of the guys at the UFO Garage podcast. He lives in Tennessee. That's one of his congressmen, and reached out to him and got him to come on the big phone home, So we're going to ask Congressman Burchett, who is on the aviation subcommittee, I'm curious, and I will put almost anything to bet that he had no idea about the conference at the AIAA this past a couple weeks ago. And Chad Underwood's testimony there. I'm curious to know if he knows about Bill Nelson, the NASA administrator, that has recently come out and has advocated for NASA to start looking into this topic. I would not shock me if he has no clue about any of those things. It wouldn't shock me either if he hasn't been briefed on the UAP TF report. But, if I, as a constituent, if I express to him, hey, these things are over our nuclear facilities, they're causing the whole point the AIAA is even talking about this is because it's a safety issue. for commercial and military pilots. So why don't we make the air a little safer for them and start talking about this instead of putting so much stigma on it and brushing it under the rug? Like it's time to stop doing that with this topic, and at least let's start having the conversation and making them aware that we want this conversation. They don't know yet. They have no clue. So that's again.
Own the road with T-Mobile, the leader in 5G. Whether you're cruising through Nashville on I-40, heading down I-90 to Boston, or touring Santa Cruz in the 5, you'll be covered by the largest 5G network. T-Mobile covers the most interstate highway miles in America with 5G.
See 5G device coverage and access details at T-Mobile.com. Most reliable according to independent third-party Umlaut from crowdsourced user experience data from January to July 2021. Fastest according to Open Signal Awards based on average speeds in USA. 5G user experience report July 2021.
Own the road with T-Mobile, the leader in 5G. Whether you're cruising through Nashville on I-40, heading down I-90 to Boston, or touring Santa Cruz in the 5, you'll be covered by the largest 5G network. T-Mobile covers the most interstate highway miles in America with 5G.
See 5G device coverage and access details at T-Mobile.com. Most reliable according to independent third-party Umlaut from crowdsourced user experience data from January to July 2021. Fastest according to Open Signal Awards based on average speeds in USA. 5G user experience report July 2021.
The big phone home is not a 3-day thing, man. Like we're going to be doing this all the time because they just don't know. They really don't. And I know that sounds crazy. And I know you're going, there's no way the government, our congressmen and our representatives don't know. They have no clue. Most of them have no clue unless they're on like House Committee for Intelligence or the Senate Intelligence Committee. They don't know. More than likely.
And many don't care, which is weird to me. It's such an interesting question.
But it's not weird.
I know. I'm just saying. I know. I'm just making a joke about my personal interests, and it's difficult because I'm surprised. This is a fascinating question, and it's a defense question too. I mean, hate or love the threat narrative. There's a defense question here for the military and the federal government, and to not be interested for your constituents on behalf of that fact, that's surprising. It shouldn't be,
but we've had in the last year congressmen and senators openly talking about this, and now they're engaging us. So it's cool. We just gotta stay on the ball. Rather, I cut you off. I know I did.
You know what's insulting? If I bring up Canada here for a second, we have had reporters from the CBC and Canadian television both interview long-form television interviews, about 12, 14 minutes. Okay, on separate interviews with Luis Elizondo and Chris Mellon. You know how many times out of those interviews that any of those Canadian reporters asked Elizondo or Mellon about Canada? Zero.
Never, yeah.
Zero. Right. So here you are talking about this problem of UFOs in the United States. You're a reporter for a Canadian station who's flown down, who's on taxpayer money, flown down to Wyoming to interview Lou Elizondo during a pandemic, okay? And you don't ask him, as a Canadian reporter, does Canada have a role in ufology? What is Canada's role? Is this happening in Canadian airspace? You don't even ask him that. How screwed up is that?
That's so messed up.
Right?
That is pretty messed up.
Well, it's really interesting too, because there's a lot of accusations that a lot of these reports are hid through NATO, right?
They are. Gentlemen, I was able to find out from an RCMP officer that every person who reports a UFO to the Royal Canadian Mounted Police has their report immediately shipped off to the headquarters in Ottawa, who then ships that same report to NORAD in the United States. Guess what's on that report? When you file a report with the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, you give your name, your birth date, your phone number, your address, okay? Any witnesses will give that same information, maybe even an email address. How would you like the fact that you have a report of a UFO going into the hands with all of your information into the United States government. So when you cross the border into the United States, it flags, because they read your record, okay? It flags that you have reported a UFO.
That's
in an ideal
insanity.
society, that should be fine, right? But
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, Daniel Otis we've had on the show a couple times, and he's coming on for the Big Phone Home, and I mean, he does some really great work for Vice Magazine, and he's really sort of shifted his focus on this topic, and the information that he's getting through Canadian means is also revealing things from the American side that you can't get from this side, and vice versa. So, the wall's starting to crumble. It really is, and it's fun to watch. And, like Elizondo does say, and I will definitely agree with him on this, it's a process. It's a process. It's a process. It's a process, not an event. Really get that through your skull. That's the whole point of this Big Phone Home, to stress that this is a process. And it's even though we're doing this free event, even though we made this kick awesome website, almost cursed there again, we still know that it's very difficult to actually get people to click the petition, to put in their zip code and find their representative, to copy and paste the email into an email body and put their representative's name in it. And, but we know there are a percentage of people that will do it. So that's who we're trying to reach. And we're hoping that, that you take 15 minutes out of your day while you're listening to the Big Phone Home and just help us do these 4 really easy, simple steps.
Big shout out to Ben from the UFO Garage as well, who owns Nido Creative, who built that website, and it is amazing what he did for all of us.
Ben is actually building our brand new Spaced Out Radio website.
He's the man.
Yes, got great hair too. Great hair.
Great hair.
I'm jealous of his hair.
Gents, we're going to get you guys to hold on right there, because we are going to go to break here at the top of the hour. We have 30 minutes left with Luis Jimenez, Michael Mataluni, and Rather Be Squidding from Unidentified Celebrity Review, who are taking on the Big Phone Home 2 on their YouTube channel this weekend. A free event you're going to want to check on out. At the bottom of the hour, it's Dave 101. We'll be back right after this. All right, guys. Thank you.
Yep.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Oh, speaking of stupidity and little things that we do, the hair and beard thing. That's another one.
What? That you have hair and beard?
Well, because I always talk about people's hair and beards.
Oh,
whether they got great hair or great beards, Yeah,
okay.
That's another one. That's another one of the quirks. Another
I picked up on the breakfast for dinner as well. That sounds like a
breakfast
fun
for dinner. That's a thing that just needs to be thrown in the garbage right there.
Man, we got to really dive into this one day. Because breakfast for dinner, like mixing aspects of breakfast with dinner, sometimes is awesome.
Steak and eggs, bro? Are you kidding me?
So
dope.
So
medium.
No, that's fine if you want to eat it for breakfast. That's totally fine.
Yeah.
Bacon is universal, so you can't use the burn bacon argument. You can't use that.
Well, let me ask you this, right? Like, I make a mean split pea soup, and part of the ingredients for that split pea soup is some bacon.
Well, that's allowed.
So,
that's allowed, and
allowed.
And I'm gonna tell you right now, old Davey here would like to try some of that split pea soup with me.
it's damn good.
It's a breakfast food.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't. But I'd eat it for breakfast.
Guys, I'll be right back. I'm gonna hit the loo. Be right back.
Do it.
All right. Oh, so we don't go till? I thought you said it's till 3. So we're only 30 more minutes.
Yeah,
I can hold on for another 30 minutes. Yeah.
On the West Coast or East Coast. Yeah. See. Oh man,
I know.
It's gonna be
been a long day.
Yeah, it has been. Oh man. And then who's coming on tomorrow? Oh yeah, we got Zignal and Olaf Rockner and Graham Randell, man, to talk about his new book.
Oh, that's dope.
Yeah, it's gonna be sick.
We've
And then
got
we're going on with Ryan Sprague afterwards as well, right? Is that
We do. I totally forgot about that. We do have a show with
Don't
Ryan Sprague
stop.
after.
Ryan Sprague
man.
directly after. So we're doing.
Yeah.
So tomorrow is 4 Pacific, and then we go with Sprague at 6 Pacific.
No, we go tomorrow 1 Pacific on our channel.
I'm so sorry.
1 to 3,
Yes.
and then I think we go on at 4 o'clock.
Yes. Yes.
Pacific with yeah. So we got an hour between, basically, right?
No, I don't think so. I think it's 6. I think we end. My brain's not working, dude.
I think we gave Ryan times as if we did the show at 4 o'clock on Friday.
No, I think we said we were going on with him at 6 Eastern, right directly after our show.
Okay, we'll confirm that with.
Yeah, we'll
confirm it before I go take that hour break.
Yeah, because that's what I told him. I said, because everybody will be at our show. Let's just bring them right over to Ryan's show.
It's
No, I remember you
for
saying
3
that.
p.m. tomorrow. Yep.
Yeah.
On YouTube. Yeah.
Oh, it's scheduled for 3 p.m. tomorrow on YouTube?
Yeah, 3
Okay, so yeah, that's like, so that means we really have to end at 3 o'clock. Like,
yeah,
we gotta be out. We usually go long. We can't go long tomorrow.
Right.
Yeah, it'll be all right. We'll be good.
Yeah, it'll be fine.
Oof, man, we got 2 days. Not even. Let me see.
Dude, are you talking about?
One
I was
day,
freaking
4
out.
hours.
I looked at the day. The day it says Friday. I'm like, the big phone home's tomorrow.
Yeah. Basically is. Basically is. In an hour, it'll be tomorrow.
Well, for me, it already is tomorrow. I'm from the future.
You're from the future.
Yeah. You guys are living in the past.
Aren't even on camera. We can't tell if it's the you or the evil Mike.
Good Mike or evil Mike? Yeah, it's impossible to tell.
Oh.
Okay. Shut up, Dave's back. Shut up.
Smash.
It's okay. It's okay.
Yeah, it's okay. Just make it happen. Guys, we'll keep you till the... Mike, did you need to get going, or are you going to stick the other half hour?
I didn't realize it was just only a half hour more, so I can stick around to the end.
Okay, thank you, because I know you got to get up early.
No problem. Yeah, thanks, man.
All right, so when we get to the break at the next bottom of the hour, just kind of sit through. I'll say a proper goodnight to you guys during the break, and that'd be cool.
Yeah,
right on.
Yeah. And good audience tonight. Matrix, welcome to the show. Appreciate you. And by the way, big happy thank you to Sonny for joining us on the chat yesterday for the first time. Today is his birthday. Happy birthday, Sonny, and we appreciate you, and hope you have a good one, man. Thank you so much for joining
birthday,
us.
bro.
Happy birthday. Absolutely. I'm not singing for you, though.
Yeah, that's where I draw the line.
Not usually. Steam Train Mark in Australia, how is tomorrow looking? Can you give us an update to see if we are alive in the future? That would be real helpful. That's how I know I'm alive tomorrow, is by the Australians.
Yeah.
Smart.
Mm-hmm.
We were literally just talking about that while you were gone.
Right?
I'm from the future as well, for you guys.
Yeah, but he's 15 hours or 16 hours. So,
yeah, that's a bit more.
1 second. Big thank you to G West ×2, Fat Bass, Alicia, Spooky, Excalibur, Patrick, G West again, JJ7, Cat Chaser, Snakes on a Plane, or UFO, pardon me, Apollo ×2, and Tewaz for the amazing super chats. We really appreciate the love and support. Thank you to all the veterans listening in. You always have a safe home here on Spaced Out Radio. Here we go with the third hour, everyone.
Would you like to connect with us? Head to spacedoutradio.com for all your latest show info. Now, back to Dave Scott and SOR.
Kicking off the third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. We really appreciate earning your listening ears. Hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America and digitally on TalkStream Live, Revolution Radio, and KPNL. All of our archives are free. All you got to do is go to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio and do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. What do you got for us, Clam? Marivodage. Marivodage is your password. Use it wisely, space travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram, Spaced Out Radio Show. For the final time tonight, we introduce our good friends from Unidentified Celebrity Review, a great YouTube channel. So if you head on over there and give it that subscribe button, I highly recommend it because we always like supporting shows that support us as well. Great guys who take this show on, take it very seriously about the entire UFO aspect of everything. They got a great project this weekend, the Big Phone Home 2. It is going to be live on UCR's YouTube channel Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. You can go to thebigphonehome2.com, I believe is the website. Luis Jimenez, Michael Mataluni, and Ratherby Squidding are with us. Gentlemen, welcome back.
All right.
We're here. Lou, your microphone is on mute. Yeah. You gotta...
Sorry.
Oh,
sorry. I've got a stuffy nose, and I don't want to make that terrible noise while I'm that snorting noise.
I think you might be on your computer microphone right now.
Oh, is that right? Sorry, hold on.
Yeah, we switched on over there. We'll get that changed. Thank you for that, Mike. Appreciate that. Gentlemen, while we're talking UFOs here, we're trying to figure out what the hidden secrets are. What should the public be doing right now in everything? I know it's easy to go to the Congress. It's easy to write that letter to your congressperson or your senator. It's easy to talk about this. But in everyday circles, people are starting to talk about this. People are starting to talk about UFOs. They're starting to look up into the sky more. Talking with friends who are part of MUFON. They've never had more reports than they have this year. Thank you to COVID for keeping people at home and keeping places cold. People are looking up in the stars a little bit more. But for the public in general, whether it's our listening audience or whether it's anybody else, what should they be doing right now in researching this subject to learn more about it? Lou, let's start with you.
What should they be doing to research more? I mean, there's so many places to go. I don't know if there's a right answer. I mean, I would say wherever you go, just be careful. Just don't buy into everything, including my channel. Double check everything, try and find out for yourself if you can. The thing with this topic is that everybody's been wrong, everybody's going to be wrong, and everyone is probably wrong. So just, be as my standard, I tell everybody my standard is, can I take it and put it on the desk of a senator and change his or her mind with it? If I can't, then I probably will still consume the information and put it, in the Rolodex of stuff, but I'm not going to hang my hat on it or set a belief system on any of these things that I find through the internet. It's just, you got to be careful. That's all I would say.
Yeah, especially with all of the, fake CGI UFO videos that are out there, and it's sad that a place like YouTube has become a clickbait type site, whether it's for UFOs, whether it's for Bigfoot or anything, because it's all about clicks. You get a million views on a video, you're making some pretty good money off of that video. Let's be honest here. And that's kind of where the danger is. Mike, same question for you. What would you like people to do in order to start their own research?
That's a great question. Again, to me, it comes down to don't be a sucker. I never want to be that guy, so I'm always questioning everything. But I think there are lots of ways, and I'm going to go a different direction with this question. I think it's important for people to turn inward in a lot of different ways, and I'll kind of explain what I mean by that. But first and foremost, I think it's important for people to we do this little bit on the Singularity Lab, my show on YouTube, and we go through different logical fallacies and different cognitive biases at the top of every show, because I think it's important for people to think clearly, like step back. Let's think first principles here. How do we get back to the most basic truths? And let's start from there. And so I think it's really important to kind of turn inward. I'm also a psychonaut. So I'm very interested in psychedelics. I'm very interested in exploring the internal realms. And sometimes those little resets can do a lot for you when it comes to getting clarity on things. So I'm very much in for personal introspection when it comes to understanding kind of the bigger questions of the universe.
And for you, Rather?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's frustrating because I don't think we have enough data to actually figure it out. But I think that if you want to kind of get to it and try to, challenge yourself and try to see what might be there, I think that doing some research in like things like quantum physics and looking at the latest science developments and seeing how you could extrapolate those ideas to see how they could be related to, what we're seeing around us. I think that's an interesting avenue that you can explore.
And I think that's a great point, Rather, but I'm going to throw a little caveat in here. Where do the experiencers fit into all of this? Because they really seem to be the lost souls of ufology right now. They've been pushed and cast aside because of all the government talk and all the political talk and all the scientific talk regarding the phenomena.
Yeah, and I think that they're a very stigmatized group, and it's hard. When I see hear an abductee tale, an experiencer tale, my gut is to believe them, and most of them. I think there probably are some charlatans out there, but most people are telling you their God-honest experiences. And I think the question is whether it was a real physical experience or whether it was some sort of weird consciousness alteration. And if it was a consciousness alteration, if that's, mental illness based, or if that's, interdimensional things that we can't comprehend based. And I think that there's a lot of unanswered questions there. But I think that the biggest thing we can do is don't stigmatize them. They're not lying to us. And if they're wrong, if you can prove them wrong, then, don't shame them either. These are just people trying to tell you their own personal truths, and we should try to take them for what they are and try to figure it out. And yeah, it's hard.
Yeah, it's tough.
That's what I love, Rather.
Yeah, I mean, but like, and our producer Alex is listening to the show, and he's like, FOIA requests are a great way to do your own research, and I got to agree with that. And John Greenwald, if you want to sort of learn how to do that, that'd be one place I would point people towards.
The Black Vault. I mean, just going to the Black Vault itself and going through his 2 million documents is a great place to go as well.
It's a great place to go. But yeah, to answer the experiencer part of this, I mean, it's a question that we've really been asking a lot on this show internally, off the air, is how do we discuss this topic responsibly and acknowledge this group of people that, like you said, are sort of being left behind a little bit in this conversation. And I do.
With MailChimp, you get a whole lot more than a URL. You get an all-in-one marketing platform to help drive sales. That means you can connect your data to make more informed, smarter decisions. And you get powerful automation tools like our Customer Journey Builder to ensure you never miss an opportunity to turn shoppers into loyal customers. So if you're ready to integrate your marketing and boost sales, get started today at MailChimp.com/smartmarketing. MailChimp, built for growing businesses.
Own the road with T-Mobile, the leader in 5G. Whether you're cruising through Nashville on I-40, heading down I-90 to Boston, or touring Santa Cruz in the 5, you'll be covered by the largest 5G network. T-Mobile covers the most interstate highway miles in America with 5G.
See 5G device coverage and access details at T-Mobile.com. Most reliable according to independent third-party Umlaut from crowdsourced user experience data from January to July 2021. Fastest according to Open Signal Awards based on average speeds in USA 5G user experience report July 2021.
Feel for them. And I think they're going to have their day in the sun. But we just got to wait a little bit longer. And I know they don't want to hear that. It's a tough thing to swallow. But just be a little more patient. I think your day is coming. But yeah, it's tough. It's really, really difficult because it's something that no one can prove. But but I think it should be documented. I think it should be, validated on some level, and acknowledged. And yeah, I mean, it's tough. It's a tough thing. Because I'm not a psychologist. And so I am curious if what's going on in the human mind that is causing this, or what is actually happening with these experiencers. Because again, like Rather said, I don't think the intention is to lie to people. Why would anybody,
I'm going to throw something out at you because...
Who's not writing a book anyway.
I'm going to throw something out at you guys because recently you guys interviewed me about my experiences. And, I remember watching your chat room, and we get it in here too when I bring on experiencers. What amazes me is how some people who take in these shows and these chats get so angry about learning about people's experiences.
I know.
They get so mad and they start yelling, "Where's the proof?" They're going all Hulkamania on it. Let me tell you something, brother. And they're going off about how angry they're getting about somebody telling their story. And
I think where that's coming from, Dave, is I think part of it is that person is trying to warn other people. Don't believe this, because they feel that it's not evidence. It's not something that can be nailed down to a table and say, look, here's the proof. And so therefore they think that they're doing the chat a favor by saying, don't believe this. They don't fall for this stuff. And I think it's coming from a good place. But of course, through a keyboard with no context and no face and and complete anonymity, maybe sometimes it comes off really, really harsh because they can hide behind that anonymity. But I think a lot of that anger stems from most of the times if you can meet the person behind the keyboard, you'll find out that their personal life is probably a living hell, personally. And so they're taking out their frustrations, and like Michael said earlier, like they don't want to feel like they're being suckered. And so when they hear somebody tell an outrageous story, their first instinct is to call out the bullshit stuff, and that's the first instinct, is to do that. And so I understand where they're coming from. But it's the wrong way to go about it, obviously. Nobody listens to the person who's yelling in the room. And these folks need to be listened to. They need a platform. But it's just, how do we... The difficult part is, how do you express these stories that in most cases the person who is experiencing them has a very difficult time mentally grasping how to handle it? How do you express that story to somebody who does not have that baseline, who does not have that experience? How do you get them to relate to it? And so I think, the thing that we've been talking about is, I think humor is going to be a big part of it. Like, we have to be able to make fun of ourselves. We have to be able to look in the mirror and say, okay, you know what? I was abducted. This is it's a crazy thing. But if I could laugh at myself with it, if I could have fun, if I could be honest and vulnerable, I think that serves the experiencer very, very well. The more vulnerability that you can have during this, and look, telling the story in itself is a very vulnerable thing. But I think if you can have the ability to sort of listen to critiques like that and sort of, just have humor about it, be the duck, let the water roll off your back and move on. You know what the truth is, what your truth is. So just continue with it and let it be your guiding light. But what I would say is, be careful. You don't want to ostracize yourself from people. That we're humans. We need interaction. We need people to hug. We need people to care about us. And if you take your experience, which I'm sure on some levels is very traumatizing, people don't understand that trauma. So you keep telling them, keep harping, keep telling them, they're not relating to you, and you're ostracizing yourself, and then you become lonely, you become angry, you become depressed. And so, it's a really big knot in a fishing pole, in a fishing reel. and we got to carefully try to unravel it. But it's tough.
Mike, what's your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, it's very difficult. You want to do everything in your power. For example, on our shows, what we attempt to do is, and I understand this idea of you don't want to just give everyone a platform. I think somebody said in the chat, you don't want to give everyone a platform. I think it was Michael. And I understand that. I understand that idea. And I don't think we should just give everyone a platform, but I think people who have a genuine experience that they have had in some way or another, as Rather was saying, right? This idea that whether it's a physical experience or a consciousness experience or a quantum experience we can't explain, or, just something going on in their own mind, that's still, a human story. And if you aren't willing to listen to a human story, just change the channel. It's that simple.
Well, yeah. I want to get to G. West's comment here. He says, I am guilty of getting angry before at an experiencer's story. I felt awful after it. I just want the UAP truth so badly. Sometimes it gets frustrating. And I think that's a legitimate, honest, passionate comment from someone who loves this field.
Yeah, and I'm guilty of it. It's happened to me.
Yeah.
So...
Yeah, it's very easy to get religious about your beliefs here and not be open to evidence that changes your belief because you know that you have it right? And I don't think anyone really knows. Probably even experiencers can't be 100% sure what they've experienced, whether it's ET, interdimensional, or some sort of consciousness aspect. It's no one has the answers.
Both sides need to come to the middle. Experiencers need to put themselves in the shoes of people who do not have this baseline and have never experienced anything remotely close to this. And people who have never experienced anything remotely close to this need to just listen. Just shut up and listen for a minute and let people speak. And I think you might just learn something. Yeah.
First off, Alien Critter in our chat room. No, I do not get a bird's nest in my reel when I go fishing every time. I have mastered my reels.
I know those bait casters are tough.
Oh, man. You know what bothers me is where I used to live near Vancouver. There's this one river called the Vetter River, and we're just getting into salmon season. And I was literally fighting probably a 35, 40-pound salmon on like 17-pound test line. And I had this idiot with fire line cast right into my line and snap my line. And I was like, you got to be kidding me right now. You got to be kidding me. Lost it.
I know a pretty good online store for fishing gear if you need a new one. Marlin.
No, I'm very good. If you saw my basement and all my fishing gear, it is a work of art. It is a work of art. But, gentlemen, we only got about 5 minutes left with you guys tonight, and I'll tell you a quick story here. I'm going to leave the name out of it who I was talking to, but somebody that we know who is pretty high up in this community. And I was actually talking to them about somebody you should have on your show, Samantha Mowat. And this is a lady who 25 minutes after I met her, she took me into a forest and there was an extraterrestrial standing there.
Wait, what? What did I miss?
Well, he told the story on our show.
I wasn't there. I was sick.
That's right.
You were sick. You're gonna have to go listen to the replay on UCR.
It was a good
one. I will now.
Yeah. So I was talking to one of these people about her because he was like, "Hey, how do we get more experiencers involved? How do we?" And to me, Samantha is the best kept secret in ufology, and because I've seen it, I've seen what she can do. Long story short, this person goes and researches Samantha, watches a bunch of her interviews, watches a bunch of her own videos, calls me back up and says, Dave, we can't use her. And I said, why? Long story short, just editing for context and time here, he said, she is so far advanced and ahead of the game that there is no way that the public who is in its infancy would be able to believe everything that she said and understand. And yet and he goes, here I am watching her saying, how the hell does she know this?
Yeah. Well, here's the thing, Dave, is that me and Michael had a conversation with somebody who's in the production field and has a lot of experience making productions within the UFO genre. And he was at a barbecue, and of course everybody at the barbecue knows what he does, and they're like, hey, so tell us about the UFOs, what's going on? And he's like, well, I've heard that we have there's a couple of different races. We've got craft, we've got bodies, they've made contact with our government, and everybody at the party says, oh, okay, yeah, that's interesting. And then he goes, but then I also heard that there's a secret government program that is training people to reach out to these things subconsciously through remote viewing. And everybody at the party's like, get the F out of here. There's just no way. It doesn't register with them. And look, man, this is what's going to be fun about the next 10 to 15 years is we're going to have a chance to catch people up on these concepts and ideas. And I think shows like yours and shows like ours are really setting themselves up nicely for a really big wave of curiosity that's going to be coming toward this topic, I think, very soon. These conversations are going to go from a couple hundred people to maybe a couple thousand people every night, because they're going to want to know. They're going to want to hear about this because it's going to be in their face.
Yeah, there is really no choice that it is going to happen. Gentlemen, with 90 seconds left, Lou, I'm going to give the ball to you. Do me a favor, Take some time here in the next 90 seconds to tell everybody where they can find the Big Phone Home 2 this weekend.
Very simple. Go to thebigphonehome.com. All of the links for all 3 days are there. You could go to the Unidentified Celebrity Review YouTube channel and subscribe, ring the bell, set the notifications. Go to the Singularity Lab channel. That's Michael's channel. We're going to be doing Science Day on his channel for Sunday. Do the same thing. Like, subscribe, ring the bell, set the reminders. It's pretty easy. If you're going to tweet, use the hashtag the Big Phone Home. If you want to help us, the Big Phone Home 2, specifically, we've already got it trending. So, again, we've got congressmen, we've got, and the idea is if you guys are there, we're going to galvanize everybody and try to reach out to Marco Rubio. We're going to try and reach out to Demi Lovato or whoever wants to talk to us and try and get as many new eyeballs and as many new fresh faces to this conversation, and trying to get people to understand that there's a there. There's something in our skies, and we as taxpayers don't deserve all of the answers, but we do deserve some of the answers, and it's not an unreasonable request. So join us. Very simple.
And for our Spaced Out Radio listeners, Lynn Wallington will be on Saturday at 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern. I will be going on at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. I'm very thankful that you guys have included Spaced Out Radio into this event. That means a lot to us, guys. Thank you.
We're happy to have you.
Thank you so much. Lou Jimenez, Michael Mataluni, and Rather Be Squidding from the Unidentified Celebrity Review. Go check out their YouTube channel for the Big Phone Home 2 this weekend. Hit that subscribe button there. We really appreciate it. Coming up next, Dave 101. Why do I not believe Anjali? We'll be back right after this. Great show, guys.
Awesome, man. That was fun. Thanks, Dave.
Give you some claps there.
Thank you.
Tune in for this last half hour to see what you're talking shit about Angelia.
I know. Now I'm hooked. I can't go to bed now.
You know what would be my first question for her? Is she Latina? Because the Enya, the way she spells it, I think it's Anjali.
I think that's an alien spelling, I believe.
Yeah, that is the alien. No, you know what? I'm not about ripping people on this show. I'm not about ripping people at all. And a lot of people will say, well, geez, you believe Samantha Mowat, and you're not believing her. To me, it's the production side that we see going on around her. And I can't give out too many more secrets here. But you guys,
save it for the rant.
Yeah, I got to save it for my rant here coming up here. But no, I appreciate you guys coming on, and thank you so much. And once again, the fact that you guys are bringing not only myself but Lynn Wallington on, I mean, that really means a lot, guys, for us.
Yeah.
And thank you so much for that.
No problem, man. Yeah, I mean, it means a lot that you're going to be there and you're going to be helping to support us and galvanizing your audience to activate themselves. And what's cool with when Lynn's on, she's going to be helping interview Lou Elizondo, which is going to be really cool.
Yeah.
We're going to have a ladies panel every day for all 3 days, and they've got some pretty cool interviews coming up, so that it's going to be a lot of fun.
I look forward to it. Thank you so much. Gentlemen, I'm going to let you guys go. I got to get prepared here for the next half hour of the show. But thank you so much for a wonderful night of radio and YouTube. Really appreciate it.
It's our absolute pleasure.
Take care, guys.
Thanks, Dave.
Take care,
you,
guys.
Dave.
All right, brother. Bye.
Ciao.
All right. What a great bunch of guys. Great bunch of guys. And I really do believe that their hearts are in the right place with all of this. I really do believe that. And they are they're putting on a great event this weekend. I encourage all of our Spaced Out Radio listeners and followers to take in the Big Phone Home 2 this weekend. Not just because we are on there, both Lynn and myself, but for the fact that they're putting on a great event. And if you missed the last one, it's in archives on their channel. I highly suggest you do it all again and check it on out. Damn hair keeps getting... What the hell just happened there? My goodness. My goodness. All right. There we go. There we go. All right. Let me just get the Twitter stuff taken up here. And... there we go. All right. Looks like we're all almost set up here. Got Shirky Poo's news. Shirky Poo's news. All right, there we go. We're all good here. G. West, I'm going to let you know that I am totally going to steal that. The BFDTF task force, I am totally stealing that for a shirt. Totally stealing that. What do you do? Right there. Hey, D. Swagger, how are you? Mm-hmm. All right, big thank you to G West ×3, Fat Bass, or Fat Bass, Alicia, Spooky, Excalibur, Patrick, JJ7, Cat Chaser, Snakes, Apollo ×2, and Tewaz for the amazing super chats tonight. Thank you to all the veterans who are tuned on in. We love you. Here we go, everyone, with the final half hour of Spaced Out Radio. Rounded third. We're heading for home tonight on Spaced Out Radio. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for for taking the time to join us. We really do appreciate earning your listening ears. Want to remind you that if you missed most of this show or others, check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram, Spaced Out Radio Show. It's time for Dave 101.
It's time for Dave 101.
All right, you know that old saying that if it's too good to be true, it probably isn't. That's the feeling I get with a relative newcomer to ufology, a lady by the name of Anjali. Anjali is claiming to be an experiencer who a number of months ago was able to have an ET download type contact where she was...
Own the road with T-Mobile, the leader in 5G. Whether you're cruising through Nashville on I-40, heading down I-90 to Boston, or touring Santa Cruz in the 5, you'll be covered by the largest 5G network. T-Mobile covers the most interstate highway miles in America with 5G.
See 5G device coverage and access details at T-Mobile.com. Most reliable according to independent third-party Umlaut from crowdsourced user experience data from January to July 2021. Fastest according to Open Signal Awards based on average speeds in USA 5G user experience report July 2021.
Bad phone systems are bad for business. Poor clarity, lack of features, absolutely no support. Well, good news. Reliable VoIP does exist. VoIP from C Spire Business is a game-changing, stress-free communication system with crystal clear audio and premium features, all backed by our team of experts, available 24/7. Now that's VoIP. C Spire Business. Stay connected with powerful communication tools at cspire.com/business.
Was visited that there are going to be these aliens meeting up with her and a chosen panel in the Mojave Desert in the middle of a cave where they are going to give a bunch of secrets out. So much so that she believes this, that she is putting this panel together. All we know is that it's going to happen sometime in 2021, and the aliens are going to show themselves. Have we heard this before? Look, as an experiencer myself, I know that there are going to be people coming out. Come on, Dave. You believe in Samantha Mowat. You believe in your own stories. You're always talking about the woo. You always want this kind of stuff. How can you turn your back on someone who is an experiencer? Now, there's a big difference here between the experiencer and the production side of what is going on. Anjali, we know, is apparently someone who used to work for the Department of National Defense in the United States. What her role is, we really don't know. There's some confusion over that. We know that on Twitter, a gentleman named Steve Cambion from Truth Seekers on YouTube actually called her out because he found out that she was allegedly writing a book and they were taking pre-order sales. And then on Twitter, to one of his responses to a question, she says, "I'm not writing a book." And yet the information was right there. We also know that she has an entire team behind her pushing her towards this level. What sounds so wrong about this? What sounds so grievous? Really, nothing. But I always like to tell our listeners this. Take your time to sit back, relax, and gather the entire information. Ufology is fun. But there's also a lot of people out there that have no problem trying to trick you into believing what they have. Take, for instance, the To the Stars Academy. I took a lot of heat over the first 3 years before Luis Elizondo, Chris Mellon, and Steve Justice left. And I've been able to confirm for myself that a lot of my suspicions were true. When you have a pressless press conference to introduce the TTSA team, why? What are you hiding from the press? When you have videos from the U.S. Navy with your logo on them, why wasn't that questioned? There were a number of instances with the Stars Academy that I didn't feel comfortable backing. So why don't I feel comfortable backing Anjali and her claims of meeting aliens? Now, for the record, I will say I do believe she's an experiencer. I am also a firm believer that if you are a multiple experiencer yourself, those who are will understand what I'm saying, you can literally, by photograph or by video or by person, tell whether or not someone is BSing you or telling you the truth about their experiences. You just know. But holding a press conference in Washington, D.C., with no major media there, very few people surrounding her, most of the people surrounding her were members of her own team, and giving a speech about extraterrestrials is not a way to win over the community. It sounds like a production, maybe for a documentary, or a book that she is allegedly not writing. That is the issue that I have. When it comes to experiencers, these are very personal experiences that you already know the minute you go public that the majority of people out there are not going to believe you. They are not going to believe that you have had encounters with extraterrestrials. They are not going to believe that you have been able to summon in UFOs. They are not going to believe that you have seen what you have seen or claim to see. We have all heard the same arguments over and over and over again. Were you on drugs? Were you drunk? Were you on any sorts of medication or hallucinogens? This is what experiencers go through. Never mind the I don't believe you skeptic crowd who thinks that anything you're saying, that you're whack and that you are absolutely full of derogatory imagination. But when it comes to Anjali, the way she's handled herself on social media, the way she's handled herself on the public, the press conference, the video cameras, if I'm calling a press conference for Spaced Out Radio, this is what I'm doing. Number one, I'm putting out a press release to every major media outlet. Newspaper, television, websites, radio. Number two, I'm trying to get interviews pre-press conference to line up, or post-press conference as well, to line up to talk about this subject. Not on podcasts that have maybe 30, 40 people. I'm talking radio stations, talk radio stations that have 400,000, 500,000, 100,000, 50,000, 10,000 listeners or more. I am trying to get my message out properly, with etiquette, with pizzazz. I'm not sitting down, and granted she may have some health issues, which led to her being wheeled into that press conference. But I'm not sitting down in Washington, D.C., with a bunch of supporters and very few true media, true real media, to go over my story. Experiencers are one thing. Those who make it very profound are another. Those who try to enhance their popularity, we've seen it before. We saw it with Stan Romanek, where a lot of people believed his videos as well as his experiences with these gray aliens and alleged government people coming in to steal the siding of his house, steal his webcams, steal whatever they could. And then all of a sudden he was caught mocking and fraudulently creating evidence. We've seen it with others. We see it with certain YouTube channels out there who claim CGI videos of UFOs are real. And people, over 2 million of them, watch this channel in order to get their UFO fix. And they believe it. We are dealing with people here who want to believe so badly. They want to have that experience if they have it already. They want to see UFOs and they want to see aliens become part of everyday conversation. This is an important topic for them, much like it is a sports fan cheering for their home team or the team that they grew up loving. That's how important this subject is. But when you take the subject and you put it on a pedestal, something as controversial as ET contact, you're really putting yourself out to a bunch of criticism, to a bunch of hate, and that's a dangerous sign. We do it here on Spaced Out Radio. I get critiqued all the time by people saying, I don't believe you. I don't believe you had a Bigfoot encounter. I don't believe you had ghosts. I don't believe that you are telling the truth about what happened in the forest with Samantha Mowat and the alien, or Carl, the alien at your window. It's fine. You don't have to believe me. But the experiencer should not try to make a spectacle of themselves. There is a proper way of doing things. And for the experiencers, Anjali has has come out publicly to not a lot of fanfare. All right? Not a lot of fanfare, not a lot of love. And she has the ability to take all of this that experiencers have built up on, and if she is wrong with the aliens coming into that cave and meeting her team physically, it could set back everything us experiencers have been trying to build for, which is credibility. Experiencers already do not have credibility because all we have is an anecdotal story that you can choose as the public to believe or not to believe. We see it in every genre underneath the paranormal umbrella. It's a dangerous scope. What I would have liked to have seen Anjali do is pick the team, get them to meet the aliens, photograph them, take some selfies, record them, and then walk out of that to a press conference saying, this is the message, this is what we found, these are what the scientists have confirmed who were there with us. Rather than sitting in front of the Lincoln Memorial and talking about her experiences. She would have got more press going on shows like Coast to Coast, like Jimmy Church, like Spaced Out Radio here, than she did at her own press conference, where real questions could have been asked. And that's the danger of it. To me, this has the same potential as what Dr. John Bindernagel told me about Sasquatch in 2015. The late Dr. Bindernagel told me point blank that he absolutely hated the word squatch. Why? Because the terminology had literally turned into a laughingstock within the scientific community that he was trying for 70 years to get to take the story of Sasquatch legitimately and take the evidence legitimately. All because of one word. He felt his research of 70 years, 7 decades, was ruined. Squatch. That's why we ban Squatch on this show. So when it comes to experiencers, I feel that this entire production that Anjali is putting on that at least claiming to put on, is going to go down that exact same road. Now, she has appeared on some podcasts and shows. Okay, I have not, for the record, personally talked to her. I have not reached out to her to come on Spaced Out Radio. We are still, as a team, debating whether or not we want to do that. But like I said, I am not questioning her experiences. I am not questioning whether or not she had alien contact. I am not questioning whether or not her story is real. I do believe she is an experiencer. What I do not believe is the crowd that is around her pushing her to make some very questionable decisions that could absolutely cause a lot of chaos for the experiencers who are already out there struggling to tell people about what they've gone through. I think of Allison Yellowknee. I think of Karina Sables. I think of the Andreasen affair, Betty and Barney Hill, and the fight that Kathleen Marden, their niece, has gone through for decades trying to defend them. We've seen what Travis Walton has gone through over the last few months with people now calling his story fake. The experiencers, whether you like it or not, are a part of the UFO community. The scientists don't have anything to study or any leads to study without the experiencers telling them what they've gone through, what they've seen, or what they have experienced, whether it's through extraterrestrials and any sort of implantation, or whether it's viewing a downed craft that has crashed in the middle of the desert in New Mexico. That is your thought of the Dave? Well, not your thought of the Dave. That is your Dave 101 for this week. Let's get to the news. The news is always changing, which is why we bring you the SOR News Wire at the back end of every show, where we get to the weird, the strange, the wacky, and sometimes the stunning. And here's a weird video. I don't know if you've seen this. I had a number of people send this to me, and it's online at ladbible.com if you want to check it on out. This is a new video of alleged Sasquatch. And I'm going to tell you right now, I think it's pretty good. Our YouTube people will be able to see this. I'll play it for a quick second, so that way I don't get in trouble. All right? So, apparently, this story happened in the United States where people have been able to capture a video of a Sasquatch. All right? We've been waiting for this ever since the Patterson-Gimlin film of some good woo when it comes to Sasquatch. And this story is no different. This video was taken in Idaho. While going on to say in the video itself, after watching the clip and looking at the amount of detail in this suit, we thought this was something real that you could not buy online, experts are saying. It looks pretty darn real to me. The creature is thick, it is tall, it has a rounded head, doesn't have the pointy head. All right, it has been filed with the BFRO, so they are looking into it. Paul Seaburn of MysteriousUniverse.org says, whatever it is, it's big. Big head, big butt, big body, thick legs, large arms. That would have to be pretty large human to be able to fit inside that if it was a costume. Go check out the video. It's on ladbible.com. Moving on. Well, if you got some extra money to spend, how about Michael Jordan's underwear? Sports memorabilia website announced that a pair of Jordan's underwear bearing the signs of definite use is being auctioned with a starting bid of $500. Website Leland said the underwear formerly belonged to the legendary Chicago Bulls player and is being sold by a family member of John Michael Wozniak, Jordan's former security guard. The website says the unusual item shows signs of definite use and has some loose threads evident in the seams. Leland said the underwear was one of several items gifted to Wozniak from Jordan. He also received suits, ties, belts, jackets formerly worn by the basketball great. Bidding closes on September 25th. Would you waste money on Jordan's undies? I don't know if I would. All right, apparently certain parts of Ohio are getting really, really stinky. Yeah, firefighters and utility officials say a mysterious natural gas-like odor reported in several communities of Ohio was a result of an inversion from Lake Erie's waters. Yeah, the Willowick Fire Department said it and other departments in lakeside communities received about 60 calls about the stench from residents reporting an odor that some callers compared to the smell of natural gas. Well, Mentor firefighters responded alongside with Dominion Energy and determined there was no gas leak and that it was all natural coming from the lake. So in other words, Lake Erie farted. Thought of the Dave happens every night at this time, where we ask a question on our Facebook and Twitter pages and read your responses. Today's Thought of the Dave is as follows. What's your thought on the Big Home Phone 2 event? John, big supporter. Watch the first one. These guys are trying their best to respectably push for more government accountability and disclosure of UFOs. Catherine, FYI, the Big Phone Home is unprecedented convergence of professionals, scientists, military members, and activists from across the spectrum of UAP research and activism to request public congressional hearings to key government officials. Right on. Catherine, it has to be better than no discourse whatsoever. Let's go over to Twitter. Eric, shuck and jive show mostly. Oh, that's not right, Eric with a K. That's why we're your fourth favorite show. Paul, can't wait. We need more activism in general. 13 Ballads gets the final word. Activism? When I was 10 years old, I drew plans of me in a lunar module with controls, rocket engine, etc. When I was a teenager, those plans were of Star Trek stuff with teleport engines. Currently, Junior Space Vehicle plays time consists of controlled star drive. We need more information, in other words. Big thank you to Captain Shirk for the news, the guys from UCR, and for all of you listening on in tonight. We got Mr. Ron Bumblefoot Thal rocking in the background with Little Brother is watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Special thanks to everybody listening in at work, at home, in your cars, wherever you may be. Thank you to everyone in our chat rooms tonight on YouTube, Twitch, LGAB, Revolution Radio, Facebook, Spreaker, the Space Travelers Club, and on Twitter at hashtag SpacedOutRadio.
I know you're out there somewhere.
Remember, this show is copyright by Spaced Out Radio and SOR Media Ventures Limited. Thank you so much for choosing to share your evening with us, because together, my friends, we own the night. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home. Yes, the Woo train has docked for the night. But soon, my friends, we shall ride again. Your seats are always available. Your tickets never expire. And if you want to bring a friend, we've got room for them too. Good night.
For the ones finding new ways to ensure the job always gets done. For the ones wearing many hats. For the ones who are hands-on, even from far away. And the ones keeping business moving forward. We are Grainger, offering supplies and solutions for every industry, with 24/7 support and experienced staff at over 250 local branches. Call, clickgrainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Own the road with T-Mobile, the leader in 5G. Whether you're cruising through Nashville on I-40, heading down I-90 to Boston, or touring Santa Cruz in the 5, you'll be covered by the largest 5G network. T-Mobile covers the most interstate highway miles in America with 5G.
See 5G device coverage and access details at T-Mobile.com. Most reliable according to independent third-party Umlaut from crowdsourced user experience data from January to July 2021. Fastest according to Open Signal Awards based on average speeds in USA. 5G user experience report July 2021.